Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. 1-2 on a 3-game roadie. Not exactly what the Jackets had in mind. Columbus lost at Montreal last night 2-1. Elsewhere, the Penguins beat the Senators in a shootout. The Isles topped the Stars in regulation. Pittsburgh jumped Columbus for the second spot in the Metro. Jackets are third in the division with 87 points. That ties them with New York, but the Jackets have a game in hand on the Islanders. Columbus is back to Nationwide for a back-to-back tomorrow, hosting the Sharks, Sunday against the Bruins. Hear both those games right here on The Fan. In baseball last night, the Reds were shut out by the Red Sox 3-0 in Game 1 of 162. The Guardians beat the Mariners 6-4, and 4 tickets to the Elite Eight have been punched. Purdue beat Texas. Illinois outslugged Houston. That sets up a regional final in the South with Iowa, who trailed for 38 minutes before beating Nebraska 77-71. This update is sponsored by Uber Eats. Uber Eats is a great deal waiting for you at Scramblers from now until March 31st. Get a buy one, get one free deal on the Manhandler skillet on the app. Terms apply.
Your morning just got more interesting. Distilled and barrel-picked for your listening pleasure. Bo Bishop, a local sports media legend. What William T. Sherman was to the Union Army, he is to Northern College football. A husband, a father, and middling youth sports coach. He's friends with Central Ohio sporting royalty.
I'm talking to Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjorken. Coach Day walking on with us right now. Good to see you, buddy. Good buddy, Austin Ward. My good buddy, Tim May, the Tim May Show. The great Doug Maurice joining us.
Hi, everybody. Dom Barry here.
Oh, Reese came in and he handed me papers.
Yeah,
and then
and
then he said, "You see that button? That's the only button you need to worry about. Don't touch. There's 8,000 buttons in front of me." Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about.
The one that says on.
We blew the budget on this imaging, and only 2 guys answered our ad on Craigslist. Ryan Baker and Eric Reeser. Act accordingly. You're now listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years.
All right, what I'm about to say comes with no authority and even less research. But it feels like, as we close the door on March, this has been the wildest weather year I can remember. Joshua Perry, Ryan Baker, good morning, guys.
How we doing?
It's a feels like thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love, first off, declaring something with "it feels like." That's a great place to start. I think if we ask some of the people on the other side of this building who spent much time and have plenty of expertise,
actual professionals,
yes, in this area, they would tell you that there is much more energy in the atmosphere currently than there has been in previous years. And we're seeing it with the wild temperature swings, the winds, and then all the different types of precipitation we've seen as well. I think it's wild, but it feels like it's also just what we do now.
We talked earlier in the week about January 25th of 2027 being the national championship game in college football, and we're preparing to break that down because the Buckeyes are going to be in it. We'll just speak that into existence right now. We're going to say, damn, 2026 was nuts weather-wise, because already it was Winter Storm Fern, that threw everybody through a loop all over the country. And then what you've had kind of as you walk towards spring, the wild fluctuations in temperature, the wild wind, and I didn't see pictures of the quarter-size hail until yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
But it looked like on some people's porches that they had maybe an inch of snow.
Yeah, it was wild.
And I can't imagine sitting there while just quarter-size hail is just whacking your house, hitting your car, and whatever else you've left out there.
I'll put it like this. One thing I don't like is when it's 74 degrees and you're sitting outside enjoying yourself. Maybe you go to the ice cream shop. That's what we did yesterday. We got a little bit of ice cream because the weather was so nice. And then you wake up in the morning to go put the garbage cans on the curb, 35 degrees. I don't like it.
So you say it feels, but yet you know that the winter storm had a name and all of that. That's pretty good, Reese. But I think we already, on this show, we looked it up that we had the coldest January or tied for the coldest January on record in Ohio. Is
that a fact?
Yeah, we looked it up one day.
Great.
We had the snowstorm that was the biggest snowstorm since, what was it, 2008?
08, maybe, yeah.
The biggest snowstorm we've had since then. And then you just mentioned it. I think it was 86 in Dayton on Sunday when I left, and then Monday it was like 40. And then yesterday, 81 was the highest temperature I saw on my phone when I was looking at the weather. And then you wake up this morning, it's 38.
Yeah, it's a bit of an issue. And I will be curious with the coldest January, if we get to the summer and we have the hottest summer.
Mm-hmm.
That
feels like
is
that's
the
loaded.
thing. Yeah, because it feels like we're doing these wild swings, and it's because there's just energy everywhere.
Cardinal in the YouTube chat says, I experienced the 78 blizzard. Don't tell me about the wild weather. And Baker just referenced the giant amount of snow that dropped in 08. And while there was a ton of snow, I don't ever remember in 2008, and I wasn't alive in 1978, where there was a ton of snow and it was the negative temperatures on like the same week. Like, I don't know if it's ever been that kind of wild, where, yes, you've had a ton of snow, but it's been, teens, 20s. What we had with Fern was record snowfall and record low temperature.
Right. But then you get to March and you have one of the warmest days on record for that part of the year. Like, that's what stands out to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue.
So hopefully everybody, if you've had a power outage in the last 24 to 48 hours, those things are going to be helped out a little bit as we go into the weekend, because it was a wild day of sports yesterday. And I just want to say real quick, our 10 weather impact meteorologists are wonderful people. Leave them alone online.
Yeah, they don't create this.
Because as
tell you
Texas is playing Purdue, if you're watching on Channel 10, which you should always be doing, they had to dip in because there was a tornado warning. Now, the FCC mandates that TV stations will have to interrupt programming to deliver life-threatening weather information, such as tornado warnings.
And that's a good thing for everybody, in case you're mad about that. It's a good thing that they have to do that.
It was 4 games last night, pair of regional semifinals that were great, pair of regional semifinals that were, well, I'm glad this game tipped late, because I don't really have to pay a ton of attention to it. Out west, you had Arkansas beating Arizona 109-88 in the second of 2 games out in San Jose. And it felt like with the Wildcats, they got shots whenever they wanted to. Mm-hmm. And if I'm North Carolina and I'm looking at their head coach, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I'd like to see that brand of basketball played in Chapel Hill.
I mean, I don't know how much it would take. He didn't completely shut the door on it, as we talked about yesterday. But yeah, I mean, like they look very competent. To your point, they're running. They're getting shots.
Yep.
They're pushing the tempo. I love seeing that type of basketball at this point in the year, but everything for them offensively felt like it was super easy.
And for Arkansas and John Calipari, it was the 21-point loss, the largest for him in the NCAA tournament. It was his 85th game for Coach Cal, but the worst loss he's experienced. The Wildcats, for Tommy Lloyd and company, one win away from reaching their first Final Four since 2001. They have a 12-game winning streak they will take into the West Regional Final against Purdue Saturday night. That game will tip around 8:49. The Boilermakers got a last-second tip-in by Trey Kaufman-Wren with 0.7 seconds to go. They beat Texas 79-77, and Texas has an 11 next to their name, but they are in no way, shape, or form a double-digit seed or a Cinderella. Like, those two teams are really good. That game was great.
So I'll say this. Maybe Cinderella just looks different in college basketball nowadays. Maybe it is the high major team that is, somewhere in the middle of their conference that makes the tournament, but they spent some money to get some players. They have talent, but they're just not one of the typical blue bloods that we look at. But in this day and age, like, I think you have to have certain things to be successful, and part of that is the capital that it takes to build a roster. Maybe they don't all click, but you get to March and you can make a little bit of a run because you spent money and you were talented, just like some of the teams at the top of the bracket anyway.
It's kind of crazy because last night, the 2 games I was really, really interested in watching were both of those late games, and they kind of turned out not to be great games.
Yeah.
Arizona, they might be the best team. They're probably the best team in the country.
Yeah.
They just dominated Arkansas, and Arkansas became a lot of people's darling here with their run in the SEC and Darius Acuff and all of that. And then Illinois matched Houston's defense and physicality and went on that 17-0 run, and that game was never really kind of in doubt after that almost 7-minute stretch where they hold Houston scoreless. And the other thing, I did a little research this morning, and I knew the number was big. I didn't realize the number was this big. 80% of the United States population lives east of the Mississippi. Why do we keep tipping off games then at 10:05? Like, can we knock this off? I understand.
Preach.
I understand that some of those games, all those games were played in Texas, and they were played in California last night. I get that. But the majority of the country is watching. Why are we tipping games to appease a small percent of the population? Like, let's get these games done earlier so a majority of the people can see them.
You want to know why? Because they know you're going to watch.
Yeah.
That's the issue. We got to turn the damn TVs off and maybe they'll change it.
I think people
that's
were
not going to
turning them
happen.
off, though, last night once they realized these games were out of hand.
See,
You're not getting the whole game.
I would have turned mine off had I not fallen asleep in front of it.
Yeah, that's
it was
the
just
thing.
on and running.
CBS got the Nielsen credit for my viewing.
Yep.
And so did TBS because they were on, but I was asleep.
I was gone.
And again, it doesn't matter so long as it shows that you are watching it. If you hated the tip times last night, you're going to dislike them even more because in Washington, D.C. and in Chicago, you've got a 9:45 East Region semifinal between Michigan State and UConn, 9:45 on CBS, and then Tennessee and Iowa State in the Midwest. That's in Chicago, but 10:10 for the tip there.
Oof.
Your first two Elite Eight games are going to be 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock, or 6 o'clock and 8:45-ish on Saturday, as you've got Iowa and Illinois. So, Joshua, I think the question is fair, is could there be 4 Big Ten teams in the Final Four?
No.
Probably not.
I don't think. But it's been fun watching this run. I mean, I'll say this. I think if we have all this fun and we talk about the Big Ten teams making runs and then it becomes another year where a Big Ten team does not win it, then it's going to kind of be same old story. But it certainly does feel like they're in as good of a position as they've been in a long time. I think if Michigan wins, it would be the most teams in the Elite Eight in Big Ten history, if I'm not mistaken. And don't quote me on that. I could be a liar, but I think I saw that floating around somewhere. Like, it's been fun to see the conference kind of flex its muscles a little bit. And as somebody who's looking for reasons to cope, like it makes you feel a little bit better about Ohio State's season as well, knowing that, hey, a bunch of good teams. And by the way, beat a couple of them. Like, you feel decent about that at least.
A busy week for the Buckeyes for the football and the basketball. You've got Tim May will join us at 10:30 on a Friday, and then Doug Maurice coming up at 11:30. We've also got one more pair of Blue Jackets tickets to give away as the CBJ will host the Carolina Hurricanes next Tuesday. It was a bad night for the Blue Jackets on and then off the ice in regards to their standings. We'll discuss that next. Bishop and Friends on the Fan.
We know everything about you. We know you love the Buckeyes. We know you love the Jackets. We know you're wearing a red shirt. I just freaked the hell out of someone. The Fan.
Take your shot to save at Great Lakes Hyundai in Columbus or Dublin. Make a basket for extra savings on top of big shot deals on every model from Elantra to Palisade. Go now, Dublin or Columbus or glakeshyundai.com. See dealer for details. Ends 3/31.
James Laurinaitis here for my guys at Green & Sons, the premier Kubota dealership in Central Ohio. Green & Sons has all the Kubotas you need to tackle your land and come out a winner. They have zero-turn skid steers, tractors from 18 to 171 horsepower, and also utility vehicles. My favorite is my RTV Sidekick. The best thing about Green & Sons is they've been family-owned and operated since 1970, and you will love dealing with the Green family and their winning team. Do what I did and check out Green & Sons located in Mount Sterling and Marysville or online at greenandsons.com for all your Kubota needs.
I'm Leslie from Pella Columbus.
And I'm Wilson from that other window place. And are you tired of windows so drafty that your curtains blow in the wind even after you shut your windows?
Sounds like a problem, Wilson.
It's why at the other window place, we now offer curtain tie-downs.
Wouldn't just great non-drafty windows be the answer?
And tank the entire curtain tie-down market?
Get the windows that homeowners rated the leading window brand in Columbus at PellaColumbus.com.
Common Man here for Jermaine. Everybody's talking about affordability when buying a car these days, but the truth is, GoJermaine.com has a great selection of affordable inventory. Maybe that tax return's going to hit your mailbox pretty soon. Well, go see my friends because they have 300 new cars under 30 grand, over 300 used cars under 20 grand, and it's only at GoJermaine.com. And along with their $1,000 price promise, no one's going to sell you a car for less. Get started at GoJermaine.com.
Want Big flavor and even bigger value? The new $9.99 value meal has arrived at Hothead Burritos. Get your choice of a customized, loaded little burrito or bowl with fresh chips and salsa plus a drink, all for just $9.99 today. Hothead Burritos. Get up and get you some.
Common Man and Timmy for our friends at Hollywood Casino.
Oh, it's a big month, Common Man.
Why?
Because there's lots of basketball to watch and lots of cash to win.
That's right. If you're watching hoops, you can reserve your spot at HollywoodColumbus.com. And some of the packages come with $300 in dining credits.
And this month you could win $1 million instantly. That's your final answer. Plus, there's multiple ways to score big cash prizes weekly.
Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Hey, basketball.
Remember your first football game? The sound of the crowd, the smell of the grill, the moment you fell in love with the game. This spring break, pass that moment on. At the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, families walk through the greatest moments in football history and create new memories of their own. See the legends, experience the history, share the game you love. Make the Hall of Fame part of your spring break road trip. Plan your visit today at ProFootballHof.com.
If only there was a radio show that constantly talked about Ohio State athletics. Well, good news. It's real, baby. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
Proud to be your flagship home of the Buckeyes. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Hi, the Scott Antique Markets are back again at the Ohio Expo Center, featuring hundreds of vendors with collectibles and merchandise from all over the world. The market is one weekend monthly, November through March. Build your family heirlooms. You can find everything that gets old. Just take I-71 to exit 111 to enjoy America's favorite treasure hunt. Visit thescottantiquemarket.com for more information. Come join us at the Ohio Expo Center for the Scott Antique Markets. It's huge. It's the Scott Antique Markets this weekend.
Teachers care deeply about their students. We know that educators are best able to support students when the needs of classrooms are met. The job of the Worthington Education Association is to support the needs of educators through mentoring programs, through professional development opportunities, doing whatever we can to help teachers support the needs of their students. My name is Emma Ruiz, and I am a proud member of the Worthington Education Association because strong unions make strong public schools for our students.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We'll see drier conditions and more sunshine later on this afternoon, but it will be a cooler day with highs only in the 40s here for your Friday, calling for a high near 46 with winds out of the north at 10 to 20 miles per hour. And as we head into the weekend, we're tracking more sunshine and some quieter conditions with highs in the 40s on Saturday. And that's a look at your 10 weather impact forecast. I'm meteorologist Aaron White here on 97.1 The Fan.
Common Man, a radio veteran, has a large hemorrhoid. Timmy Hall, a good, clean boy, moonlights as man's hemorrhoid. Common Man and Timmy.
Weekdays at 3.
The Fan. With friends like these, who needs former college football players? This is Bishop and Friends.
Well, as it would happen, we have the Coney Kid, Joshua Perrion, with us today. Eric Reeser, Ryan Baker.
Who needs me, though? But who needs me?
We do.
No.
Yes.
I'm just glad to be along for the ride.
Man is in high demand.
You are. You're with Man and Timmy next week.
Yeah.
I think you're in for Timmy Hall.
Yes. Just bumping around.
Doing what you can to make us a better place.
Going to have a long stay on T-Bone and Tyvus here shortly.
I am. Do a little residency with T-Bone. Very excited for that. Yeah, a little residency.
I'm interested to hear the pivot that Tyvus takes with, it's not PTO, obviously. It's paternity leave. So it's a different form of it.
Yeah. So here's, for folks who aren't aware, Tyvus is the PTO, nobody should take it, I don't take it,
which is insane. Take your PTO.
It's wild. By the way, part of your comp package, like you're losing money by not taking the days off. Neither here nor there. So he's like, yeah, I don't know, like I think I need to take some time off. Well, of course you do. Like, you're welcoming a child into the world. It's going to be your third. The house is going to be chaotic, the whole deal. But then he was like, well, how long do you think I should take? And I said, Tyvus, that's a conversation for you and Lauren.
Do you think he's asked her?
Oh, he has.
Okay.
And he settled on 3 weeks, which I think is appropriate. I might have taken a little bit more, but
sure.
She was like, oh, no, 2 weeks. I don't need him home that much, which I actually understand. So
Tyvus would be going stir crazy, I'm sure, if he took that much time.
Oh, he'll have plenty to do.
Tyvus, the amount of time you should take is how much they will allow you to take. That's how much you should take.
That's the proper answer to that.
Take it all.
Oh, man.
As long as I've known him, that's been his longest running gimmick.
Yeah, we can say a lot of things about young Tyvis Powell. The one thing that you cannot say about him is that he doesn't work his ass off, because that man will show up any shift, any time, and every day he will be there.
He's just trying to be like you.
Oh, no.
Right?
No,
because,
he got to shoot a lot higher than that.
Well, again, I think you are right now at the point of your profession where your stock is on the rise. I've said this to Bo, and I will say this to you now. You're going to be on a major network someday in a full-time position. You're that talented. Your work ethic's off the charts. It's a pleasure to have you here. He's trying to be that, not only in work ethic and the presence, but in lighting the cannon at the Blue Jackets games. Like, he is literally following you step by step. And now where you have to get, with the last 10 games, I think, for the Blue Jackets, you got to get to a game and fire the cannon in a win. You got to kind of make good on that.
I'm trying to figure out if maybe my presence is a part of like a jinx or something. No. I don't want to step in right now and mess up some good mojo that they've had.
Well, I do think it's important, because the Blue Jackets have a back-to-back coming, and it's important that they have this back-to-back coming, because last night wasn't great. They lose in Montreal 2-1. They go 1-2 on a 3-game road trip, and where you don't get any points. You don't get any points the other night. That 1-0 loss to the Islanders. The Penguins won in overtime, and the Islanders won in regulation. So now how the Metropolitan Division shakes out is Jackets third, same points, 87 with the Islanders, but the Penguins now have 88 points. Fortunately for the Blue Jackets, you've got a game in hand on New York. So it's 72 games. CBJ have more opportunities than New York to build on those points. But what you've got coming is good and bad, because the Sharks and the Bruins will test you.
Yep.
Good in that you can forget about all of this.
Listen, I'm one of those people where, especially after you lose a game, you want something that's going to catch your attention. So having tests that come up against teams that are right there in the mix, and teams that might be ahead of you in some cases, like, that's exactly what you want. I'm also one of those people where I looked at it, and again, like, there are plenty of people who probably know more. There were a lot of chances last night. You know, it wasn't like it was a terrible game and they just completely didn't play well. Like, they had the opportunities. Mm-hmm. They certainly didn't capitalize. There was an opportunity right there at the end as well. So, I mean, you hate to not get points, especially this time in the year, and things, as we have mentioned, or they're feeling tense. But the reality of the situation is, I look at this team very similarly to when they came into this stretch here. They just, you got to score more and feel better about some of the chances that you had.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that was frustrating last night as I was watching that game in the first period, and the Jackets were dominating the first period. You got to capitalize on those chances when things are going good, because Montreal is going to come. They're a good team, and they were going to come back, and they did. And they kind of tilted the ice a little bit in the second and maybe in parts of the third. So when you couldn't bear down and bury one early on, that was concerning to me. They get the first goal, then you fight right back. I don't know how Mason Marchman misses that at the end of the game. Like, he probably had nightmares last night about that one. But to your guys' point, one, you're in a playoff spot here. So all of these games, these final 10, should catch your attention. But 8 of these games are against teams that are fighting for a playoff spot too, or in the playoffs. Like, you've got San Jose, you've got Boston the next 2, then you've got Carolina for 2. The only teams you're playing that are out of this thing are Winnipeg and Washington, and that's the last game of the season. So hopefully those 5 p.m. starts this weekend, that crowd is loud, it's raucous, a nationwide arena, and hopefully the Jackets can get back to their scoring ways, because it's not the defense that's hurt them the past couple of games. Right. It's the lack of putting pucks in the net.
Yeah, and here's Jackets defenseman Eric Goodbranson talking about the loss overall 2-1 in Montreal.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks not to win, but played a heck of a hockey game through and through. Really felt we were the stronger team. You're not going to win them all on the way in. And we had our chances. They didn't go our way. We're going to take what we can from this game, move on really quickly, and keep the confidence high for the next one.
Yeah, as Baker said, 5 o'clock for face-offs between the Sharks and the Bruins Saturday and Sunday, respectively. We're making Dylan Tyre work a little bit more. He'll be on an hour pregame for both of those contests. And then Saturday, April 4th, they're hosting the Winnipeg Jets, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock pregame coverage on the Fan. There's a weekend Blue Jackets game Saturday or Sunday. Dylan Tyre will join you 30 minutes extra, as now every single night matters. Like the third period last night I go back to, Joshua, and when you're seeing kind of the puck in the waning seconds just kind of float right in front of the net, it does feel when you're watching it like time slows down a little bit because you're like, it's right there.
Oh, dude, I shouted. So my wife, I guess, saw the multi-view for the first time yesterday on YouTube TV. And so she's like, why the hell do you have 4 different things up? And I'm like, well, I'm working right now, unlike what I typically do in the offseason. So, like, I have to be prepared. And then I shouted, and she's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, the puck, it's right there. And so, yes, I'm fully there with you. Like, everything feels a lot more amped up.
I think every CBJ fan that was watching last night, and then you realize, he missed it.
It's the perfect encapsulation, what the emotional response that you had last night, and then what you just told us now. The casual fans, the fans of interesting, the fans of Columbus are hopping on board with this, have hopped on board with this, truly make these next 10 games a wonderful ride for a team that you had no idea what they were going to be at the beginning of the season. And then they end up dismissing their head coach, bringing on Rick Bowness. You're wondering, what the hell's Rick Bowness was on a boat. Yeah. Got a phone call, is in Columbus. Yep. And then they go on this run that they have not played better overall since they won 16, 17 games in a row when they had arguably a more talented team, I think, in that stretch. This team, I saw Adam Fantilli had like 5 hits in the first period last night. I'm like, he's coming along really, really well. You have Zach Werenski playing as well as any defenseman in the league, but this is exactly what you want. To every game matter, almost every moment the puck's floating in the net, you've got every single person watching going, because it all just means so much.
Yeah, and especially folks here know this, but considering the history of that franchise as well, like it feels like there's so much good right now, and you just want to bottle that up and you want it to continue. So hopefully this postseason, you can make a little bit of a run, right? I think that's the thing that gets us all so amped up about it, is like we want it so bad.
And the thing too with this in this postseason, as you look ahead, right now, the second and third in the Metro, and that's who plays that first series. Man, how great would that be? A series against the Penguins, the team that has been there, looming over you this whole time, a team that you have had a great playoff series with in 2014. Gosh, that would be awesome. And if you can get that number 2 spot in the Metro and get the home for that. Now, you don't know how it's going to play out. Sidney Crosby left last night's game with an injury. It didn't return. Also, Damon Severson gets hurt last night. You don't know.
Do we have an update? We don't have an update on that?
Just upper body right now. The Islanders aren't going anywhere in this thing in the Metro either. So there's so many things, so many teams are involved. This is going to be a wild rush to the finish.
And I do hope for the Jackets and the Penguins. Would love to see that in a first-round matchup. Would want Crosby to be playing for Pittsburgh because would want to beat Sidney Crosby. Sure. Would rather have the Jackets with the home ice advantage in that. Was opening day in baseball for the Guardians and the Reds. We'll have a little bit of that to discuss later on this hour. But Matt Patricia loves Ohio State. The NFL loves Ohio State. Why? Because Ohio State's pretty much the NFL. We'll discuss that. And you'll hear from Ohio State's defensive coordinator next. It's Bishop and Friends on the Fan.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Columbus, are you hungry? Well, it's a good thing Uber Eats has the best deals at all your favorite local restaurants. Like this great deal at El Vaquero. From now until March 31st, you can get a buy one, get one free quesadilla deal, all on the Uber Eats app. That's good for me, but I need to figure out what everybody else is going to eat. So next time you're craving a great meal, don't overthink it. Just get on the Uber Eats app and save big with a great deal. Order now only on Uber Eats. Terms apply. See app for details.
Forget the pot of gold. Save some green at Coughlin Chevrolet. Lease a new 26 Chevy Trax, $169 a month. New 26 Equinox. Lease for $229 a month. Or lease a new 26 Silverado, $359 a month. Visit CoughlinChevrolet.com. Together, let's drive.
Coughlin has the car for you. 39-month leases. Silverado 36-month lease. $39.99 due at signing plus tax, title, and license. 10,000 miles per year, 25 cents per mile over. See dealer for details. Ends 3/31/26.
Head to Capital Ford in Whitehall and drive home a brand new F-150, Explorer, Bronco, or Mustang today. Don't wait for Uncle Sam to decide how you spend your tax refund. Spend it on a Built Ford Tough Ride you've been dreaming about. Get to Capital Ford at Columbus in Whitehall or visit CapitalFordAtColumbus.com today.
With all that can go wrong in your home, it's enough to make you say, oh, brother. With Brothers Roofing and Construction, one call covers it all. Roofing, siding, rotting decks, bad chimneys. We take care of it all. And we do it right the first time.
When you saw your heating bills this winter, did you think this is out of control? The problem is your house is leaking money, and the only thing higher than your heating bills are your cooling bills. Steve here from USA Insulation. Let us fix your energy bill problem for good. If you aren't foam insulated, you really aren't insulated. For $99 a month, interest-free, we'll foam your home and help cut those energy bills. 529-2440 or USAinsulation.net.
USA Insulation.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for almost 80 years. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
What's up?
What's up, man? What's up with you? Here's what's up on a Friday. Ohio State's got the day off from spring practice. They'll resume things tomorrow. No media availability until afterwards. And you'll hear from Cortez Hankton and Jeremiah Smith. Are going to hold court after the Buckeyes do spring practice again. That's on Saturday. And then coming up on Tuesday, Ryan Day will hold a press conference after their spring practice. Then we'll carry those comments for you when he does hit the podium again. That's coming up next Tuesday. But Ohio State had their pro day earlier this week, so things are as busy as ever. This is kind of the time of the year, especially when you talk, Joshua, about bringing on 51 new players. A lot of guys that have done a lot of college football,
yes,
but kind of need to do it at Ohio State.
It's funny because when I was in there and I was talking to some of the staffers, I was like, "What's the biggest challenge?" And it basically came down to two sides of the same coin. Mm-hmm. So it's the 51 players coming in and just managing that on its own, and many of them being freshmen who have never done this, but also guys who have done it for other programs for years a different way.
Yeah.
And trying to get everybody to come together and the personalities to mesh. And what happens there is also you're trying to find out, okay, who are our leaders? And you've got your core guys of Julian, who they say has taken a step in leadership. And I mentioned Jeremiah earlier this week and how he kind of has to be, a little bit more vocal, and they're seeing that out of him. But there are new guys who are going to be expected to contribute in a big way. And part of that way is going to have to be their leadership as well. And you don't want to come in and automatically start, telling guys what they're doing wrong and pointing fingers. But at a certain point, you've got to get comfortable being a dude if you're going to contribute for the team. So the 51 players is a real challenge, but this is also just a new age of college football.
And I don't think you're always going to have that sense of urgency, and it's still going to be great. You don't have Texas week 1. You have Ball State. So it maybe helps a little bit with some of these new guys and kind of how they acclimate, especially once you get into the summertime, once you get into training camp. But the expectations aren't going to take a dip. Like
Never will.
There's players, I think of a Devin McCune coming from Texas, San Antonio.
UTSA.
Like the change in expectations is going to be is wild, but he's a guy, and I fully expect when they do their due diligence on players in the portal, because they've done such a great job with it, is figuring out, all right, does this guy want this? Does he want the smoke?
Yeah.
That comes with, you're at UTSA, you're competing to make a bowl game. You're competing to have a winning season. At Ohio State, you're competing to play in the very last game of the year.
Right. There are guys, I think there are some programs when they're recruiting out of the portal that will tell players anything that they want to hear to get them on campus. Ohio State is absolutely not that kind of a program. As a matter of fact, they might be overly honest with guys that they're courting in the portal because they don't want to bring the wrong kind of guy in there. Then first off, you got to pay him. And now he's taking up a roster spot. But then all of a sudden it's like, okay, you're dragging everybody else down. So we're going to tell you, like, it's for a certain kind of person. And if you're not that, that's fine. That doesn't make you a bad guy. You just don't belong here.
Yeah, and for expectations for Ohio State every single year to win it all. And there's no dip, and there shouldn't be, and nobody should apologize for that. But for Matt Patricia, who will be entering his second year as Ohio State's defensive coordinator, he was asked yesterday about his expectations for Ohio State and how they've matched up after a full season.
I don't know if I set maybe expectations or not, or just kind of go in with the idea of hey, let's just try to do as much as we can to impact in the biggest way possible. So for me, that part of it's been amazing, to go in and have a lot of joy to be around these kids and watch them work and grow and learn, and certainly going through the process this year with the draft and watching everybody get ready to go, and so excited for those guys of what's next, and for bright futures for them, and to get a new group in this year and kind of try to do the same thing. You just that's what it's all about, right? Trying to help and do whatever you can to make hopefully lives better for guys.
One of the cooler non-football images from Pro Day was Caleb Downs was doing an interview, and I forget which outlet he was doing it with, but he had his arm around Matt Patricia the whole time. And the one thing I've loved more than anything about Matt Patricia and what he's done at Ohio State is bring so much energy and joy on the field, and you've seen it in games. You hear it in his voice there. You see it when you watch a video of Matt Patricia. The only thing that him and I have in common is that we talk with our hands because we have a ton of energy and we kind of love what we're discussing. We kind of love who we're discussing it with, and the joy and the passion is so is infectious.
It was fun watching him in pregame as the players were warming up or walking through the stadium. He's giving guys hugs. Right, and it's like, football's not a hugging place. Well, I would disagree with that. Like, you have the most badass defense out there.
Tackle.
And everybody's – but, like, he's building relationships. And I think when you have a strong relationship with the coach, number one, that coach can coach you as hard as he can because you don't feel like he's just coming down on you. Number two, you're going to play hard for that coach as well, which I love. In that quote, he was talking about how there's not really expectations, more so figuring out how much he can give to them. And I think this is a very NFL approach where – you have your off season and you have a bunch of free agents that come in and you go through your off season program and then they end up dropping in the rookies for mini camp and then you go through OTAs. And he every year had to figure out exactly where his guys were and then what he needed to do from there to get them to where they needed to be. And I think he's taking that approach right now of we've had a lot of turnover. We have a bunch of new guys. I know where I want to be right now, but I have to figure out where these guys are first. And then we can adapt from there. Like, we can't push them somewhere they're supposed to be without actually knowing where they are right now.
You guys talk about that joy that Matt Patricia has shown since he's been here. And I think that's one of the things that people were really worried about when he came here, because their last images of him was as the head coach of the Detroit Lions. And it was almost like he was trying to imitate Bill Belichick. He was. And he was being gruff and didn't seem very personable and approachable. And I just think that's one of those things that goes to show you, one, how much people can grow and they can learn as they change surrounding situations and adapt to new things. But also, you got to be your own person. Bill Belichick was super successful in a way that worked for him. Now, you can take bits and pieces of that, but you still have to be true to yourself and let your own personality shine. And I think that's something that Patricia has learned and adapted to. And I think it's a pretty good lesson because he could have not done that. He could have said, this is what I know, and this has been successful. I'm going to stick with it. But no, he's evolved in that, and I think it's one of the things that's really helped him, and it's really, really awesome to see, and it makes him one of my favorite coaches around because of that joy.
You know, it's funny because I knew both players in Detroit at that time and some people in the front office, and they would talk about how when the players would eat in the cafeteria, it would just be like dead quiet. Nobody was really talking, having conversation. The front office people, the scouts, really weren't allowed to be around players because the only time they really came around was to cut people, and they didn't want that anxiety. So it was like a quiet, anxiety-filled building. And if you're Matt Patricia and you're like, okay, I know I'm a good ball coach, and I also know I'm a good guy. Like, I'm never doing that again. I'm not going back to
failure's the best teacher.
It really is. It really is. And so I love it too, right? The idea that a guy can make some mistakes very publicly in a high profile way and say, all right, well, I know what I'm not doing again. And I'm also just going to be who I am, which is a person who can inspire players and brings a ton of joy.
Is it a bigger challenge from last year to this year, or from Jim Knowles to Matt Patricia and what you have to replace defensively? Because it was with Patricia in his first season, how are they going to replace 8 guys that go to the NFL?
Right.
This season, it's you're replacing not 8 guys. You've brought in 8 defensive players for the transfer portal that need to contribute, but you're losing guys like Caleb Downs. You're losing a Sonny Stott. I mean, you're losing a Caden McDonald. Which would you think would be the tougher ask?
I don't want to be naive and act like you can just replace all those guys.
Because you cannot.
Right. But it does feel like every year there's another dude that pops up, and it's like, boy, I'm glad he started playing the way that he did the time that he did. So I'm confident in their roster building. I think it's more difficult to go from one scheme and then have to relearn something with different language and different movement and different communication throughout an offseason. So I think the challenge was last year, even though the personnel was phenomenal, and like having a guy like Caleb back there with his intelligence certainly helps. But
here's Patricia talking about that.
You know, I would say I probably always operate in extreme urgency, like we don't have it mindset. I think that's kind of like, for me, I'm never, oh yeah, we're good. Like, I kind of actually always go back. Doc Rivers was great, when he was out in Boston with us and we would spend time together, and he had this whole thing with, they went through some different years with the Celtics, and, he had this saying, it was like, don't let good get in the way of great, and it was like one of those things where the year before they were always trying to be great, 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 and then the next year it was like, hey, did you do this? No, I'm good. Did you do this? No, I'm good. And then like, it was just a whole mindset of like, well, good will get in the way of being great. So like, we always want to be great.
So it's the build.
Yeah.
And the build obviously starts in the spring, and then you ramp up to that game against Ball State, and then you're going to Austin. It's time to be great then.
It's not a terrible spot to be in, coming off of a year where you had the best defense to now have to reset, because those other guys don't feel like they're entitled to it, right? You just look at them and be like, a lot of you guys really didn't play, so you got to figure it out. You weren't on the number one defense, those other guys were.
James Smith, one of those 8 portal persons that looks to contribute in a big way to this Ohio State defense, on just the differences, if there are really any right now, between Alabama and Ohio State. You'll hear from him next. It's Bishop and Friends on The Fan.
We're the girthiest radio station in the history of radio. Uncomfortably girthy. This promo is uncomfortable. The Fan, Ohio's girth destination.
Columbus has a new football team, the Aviators. UFL football lands April 3rd. Be there for our home opener at historic Crew Stadium. Don't miss it. Get your tickets now at UFLaviators.com. That's UFLaviators.com. United, we fly.
Hi, I'm Dr. John Runyon from Runyon Dental Group. Are you missing teeth, or do you have uncomfortable dentures? Dental implants can not only transform your smile, they can restore your confidence and allow you to eat those foods you love that you've been missing. When I was in my early 30s, I was in a similar situation, needing complex dental work and dental implants. I understand all the emotions that you're feeling because I've been the patient, and I know that we can help you. Schedule a free consultation today at runyondentalgroup.com. That's runyondentalgroup.com.
Hothead Burritos' new Abrazo fish taco is in season. Wild-caught Alaskan pollock, creamy queso, zesty Southwest sauce, and cool avocado lime. Catch your new Abrazo fish taco now for a limited time at Hothead Burritos. Get up and get you some.
Common Man here for Weed Man. I talk to you about Weed Man every year. Why? Simple. Number 1, I use it. Number 2, it works. You want to get those lawn roots thick, baby, because when that happens, they resist weeds, disease, and insects, and they're using top-of-the-line stuff. We're talking golf course quality. Weed Man is locally owned and operated by Corbin and Audrey. They will take care of you. Proudly serving Central Ohio and our Dayton friends. Call your local office, 614-733-3747, weedman.com.
At Babs R Us, we believe home improvement is life improvement. As the Midwest's fastest growing 5-star bathroom remodeler, we're more than just transformations. We're a community driven by a mission to bring your dreams to life. Our installation team, part of the Babs R Us community, isn't just skilled. They're dedicated to respecting your home. Each day, they bring craftsmanship and hustle, turning your dream space, no matter the size, into reality. Together, we embrace a culture that values diversity, collaboration, and giving back. From supporting local projects to fostering a workplace where every voice is valued. Babs R Us is more than a company. It's a community of experts. We're also expanding locations to create more possibilities for homeowners across the Midwest. Wherever you are, you'll find us ready to turn your dreams into something you can see, feel, and enjoy every day. Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement, or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel. Plus, low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BAB to schedule your free estimate, or go to babsrus.com. Babs R Us, where dreams soak in.
Like a rite of spring, Tee to Green begins Masters Week. Hosted by Skip Mossick, Lifetime Achievement Award winner by the Southern Ohio PGA. It adds a touch of class to the radio station.
Hey, everybody, we're all going to get laid.
Saturday mornings at 9 on The Fan.
Common Man here for Jermaine. Everybody's talking about affordability when buying a car these days, but the truth is, GoJermaine.com has a great selection of affordable inventory. Maybe that tax return's going to hit your mailbox pretty soon. Well, go see my friends, because they have 300 new cars under 30 grand, over 300 used cars under 20 grand, and it's only at GoJermaine.com. And along with their $1,000 price promise, no one's going to sell you a car for less. Get started at GoJermaine.com.
Raise your hand if you're excited about feeling older faster than you should. No takers? Yeah, I didn't think so. Ongoing pain makes you feel older than you are, but here's the good news. QC Kinetics patients right here in Columbus, they're getting relief right now, feeling younger and jumping back into life, full speed ahead, and that didn't happen in an operating room. My friend Dr. Ray Tesner and his team use the latest regenerative treatments backed by real science. Treatments that take the tiny, powerful healing tools inside your body, concentrate them right where you need the relief the most. This is how I was treated. I had a knee issue. I went in there. We had a consultation. I went through a series of treatments. And you know what? After a handful of months, my knee started feeling better and better until I was able to get out there and do the things I loved again. It's all true. It's all real. The sooner you get started, the sooner your inflammation eases and the sooner you'll start feeling better again. So find out if you're a candidate at your free consultation at qckinetics.com/Columbus or 380-208-4544.
The Fan Poll is sponsored by JT's Pizza and Pub, home of award-winning pizza and 32-ounce Yingling drafts for only $4. Distilled sports discussion, served in light beer quantities. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Yes, you are. Joshua Perrion with us on this Friday edition of the program. You've got 4 tickets to the Elite Eight have been punched. 3 of them are from the Big Ten. One of them's Iowa.
That was probably not on my...
Nope.
But I'm here for it.
Yeah. They're a hell of a team, and when your shooters get hot at the right time, I would consider this the right time, you can find a lot of success. Illinois, I think Houston wants to do what Illinois did to Houston last night.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. Like... You got somebody else executing your plan better than you. That's a tough look.
So they have the Illini and the Hawkeyes tomorrow night at 6 o'clock in the South Regional Final. I've been saying for the last couple of years, ever since that upset of the 1-seeded Purdue Boilermakers that was in Columbus, I think it was Fairleigh Dickinson, don't trust Matt Painter. You can't.
Yeah, it always feels like they come into the season maybe getting a little bit too much benefit of the doubt. And then they'll have some games where you're like, I'm not sure if this team is for real. And then they'll play well through the conference tournament, and they'll maybe have a game or two in the tournament where you're like, oh, yeah, this team, and then they let you down.
It'll be a bit of a styles clash in that West Regional final, because you've got the Arizona Wildcats, who ran over Arkansas last night, taking on the Purdue Boilermakers. That'll be tomorrow night at 8:49 is the scheduled tip, but probably closer to 9 o'clock. Games tonight include Michigan and Alabama in the Midwest. That game will be at 7:30. It's weird because Alabama made the college football playoff last year, and you feel like even with that, those two programs, Tide Hoops, Tide Football, are going in completely different directions.
Yeah, I mean, having Paul Feinbaum on yesterday and just talking about the outlook for them if they have another season that maybe doesn't end as well as they want to, if they don't take that big step. Like, yeah, and the wild part about it to me, I think Kalen DeBoer is a good ball coach.
I do too.
But it's,
oil and water.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, coaching changes at a place like Alabama where you had following Saban was always going to be tough. I also think that he couldn't come in right away and just like lay down the law because dudes leave. And so I think time was always going to be a factor here, but he's starting to run out of it.
I think it was 3 portal persons that Ohio State got from Alabama. Ohio State's had success with Crimson Tide football players.
Yeah, they have.
James Smith, one of those, the defensive tackle, factors to be one of 11 starters for Ohio State on the Silver Bullet side of the ball. He was available yesterday after Ohio State's spring practice, and he was asked, why Ohio State?
I kind of say, like, it kind of gave me, like, a feeling from back, like, when I was busy as a freshman with Saban, like, it kind of felt like that, like, because here, like, I ain't gonna lie, I came here, they didn't lie to me not one time, like, nothing they told me, Coach Larry Johnson told me, like, it's gonna be hard, like, so I was okay with that.
Boy, I perked up on that first statement, kind of like Saban.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. And I think all the great programs that you see in college football have a similar feel when you walk in the building. We talked a lot about what that feel is for Ohio State. And certainly Alabama under Saban had that feel. Again, Kalen DeBoer, a little bit of a different guy.
Yeah.
I think he had to approach things differently early on, too. And how you play that is how you play that. But for somebody to come in here and be like, yeah, it feels like the way Saban was doing things, like that feels pretty good to hear.
James Smith also talked the differences between Ohio State and Alabama.
Another 2 great programs, but just like there's like some differences, like, which I don't know how they're doing now, but like when I was there, It was like, you know, we working hard and this, that, like here it's the same, but it's like the intensity is like, you know, it's almost like everything's so much faster. I feel like it's the big team, you know, SEC we big and like slower. Here it's like more fast and more speed. We're just trying to, you know, really weigh an opponent down.
It's funny, I used to think it was the other way around.
Man, imagine telling like 2006, 2007 Joshua that it's faster here in the Big Ten. You know, there's the big slow guys down there in the SEC. And around here, like, we got the speed and we're going to wear you down.
You had talked about it earlier this week where even at Pro Day, there wasn't a wasted movement.
Oh, no.
Everything was intentional. Everything was done. Everything was punctual. Everything had a purpose. And it does, what you're hearing down at Alabama, things aren't that.
No, and I will say this. I think it was the first part that stood out to me. I know the we're fast here thing is going to catch everybody's attention.
Oh, yeah.
But he was like, you know, we worked hard and stuff, which is very much I thought we were working very hard, but I got here and it was a little bit of a different level of hard.
And I feel like when he was talking about that, he was talking about the pace at which they practice and everything is moving at an efficiency that's different, because we've always heard SEC speed, SEC speed, SEC speed. And I always think that was different with Ohio State, because Ohio State was a team that could compete with speed and with how they do practices and being intentional and all of that. I wonder how many other programs, though, in the Big Ten are on that level. Like, I wonder how many places you could go in the Big Ten and you're like, oh man, the way they do this, it's so fast, it's intentional. I'm guessing maybe Oregon, maybe Michigan, maybe Indiana, now that Signetti's there. And it's also something that maybe, and I agree that Kalen DeBoer is a great football coach. He's never lost more or never won less than 9 games in a full season. But maybe it's something that he might have taken for granted, is just how it was different at that level with everything you need to do off the field.
Yeah. Again, that was walking into the hornet's nest for him. To address the other teams in the conference, I think Oregon certainly is like that. Indiana, and Kurt Signetti talks about efficiency and going fast and not even being on the practice field all that long. I don't know Kyle Whittingham very well. I don't know how they used to do it at Utah, but I know what he has done historically works. So whether
and who he's learned from.
Yeah. So whether it's that style or a different style, I think the guy knows how to coach ball regardless. So yeah, I mean, but those are the top teams, and Matt Campbell too. I'm sure that he's got a little bit of juice to the way that he does things, and Penn State certainly will be back in the mix. So it's the top teams, and like I said, they all mirror each other in college football. It's kind of a blueprint of how you get it done.
And I know this is going to be hard for some to take, but the conference is healthier when Michigan and when Penn State are competitive 100%. To the level of Ohio State.
100%.
And I think, let me ask you this. Do you consider Julian Saint at all an Alabama football player?
No.
For like a week, 2 weeks?
I don't think he spent enough time for me to really be like, he's an Alabama football player. No. But technically.
His brother is on the roster for the Columbus Aviators. Now, they will take flight to Orlando for their first game of the UFL season. That's Sunday night, I should say. They're playing the Orlando Storm. 8 o'clock's the kick. It'll be on ESPN. Josh, we talked earlier this week about DJ Khaled, the halftime show. You've got a Buckeye playing for them in Jerron Cage. And then on their coaching staff, head coached by Ted Ginn Jr., their linebacker coach, Larry Grant, their defensive line coach, Curtis Terry.
Love that.
I've said this for a while with spring football and how Columbus could do one. Yes, they can, but you got a Buckeye it up.
Yeah,
and
you do.
This is kind of that.
Yes, I think it's what's going to get the people to come out. I think folks in Columbus love doing things anyway when the weather breaks. Mm-hmm. Like, you get to different events. We've been a great sports city, all the different things that we have supported. But getting some Buckeyes in there, like, I'm going to go out. And part of the intrigue is, like, Teddy Ginn Jr. was one of my favorite players when I was a kid, and I'd love to see him coach. And I want to see what this little – I love spring football anyway because I'm a sicko, but I want to see what this little league is talking about.
I think they had it right picking Columbus because we're all kind of that.
Yes. 100%. Now, bringing DJ Khaled, I don't know if
they'll do that in Florida.
But I don't need to see the guy. I saw him when I was down in Miami for the title game. He's got like the shoe polish in his hair. He looked insane.
Well, here you're going to get Gavin DeGraw for the home opener.
I don't think I need that either.
The St. Louis Battlehawks are bringing on Nelly and the St. Lunatics.
I might need that.
I mean, that makes sense, right?
Yeah. Does he bring out
St.
Ashanti?
Louis guy and.
That's the question.
So.
I would love to see that.
With the Aviators in Orlando Sunday night, game on ESPN at 8 o'clock, their home opener at historic Crew Stadium. You might need to workshop the name then if the Aviators are going to be playing football games there. Next Friday at 8 o'clock, taking on the DC Defenders. You heard Bake there. Gavin DeGraw will be the halftime show there. But to get out for spring football, something everybody can get behind.
And that home opener, I believe, is on Fox. So it'd be 8 o'clock on Fox.
Fox and ESPN for your first 2 games.
Love that.
I think that's all the games.
All games are ESPN and Fox. There's no like
ESPN and Fox
2s
have
or
the contract. That maybe,
okay.
I don't know.
Get an FS1 game in there.
You don't. Come on. But when you see football ratings, Columbus, and it doesn't matter what football, it doesn't matter who's the team, Columbus is usually in that top 10 in terms of market.
It's Columbus in Birmingham in college football. So, like, I see why when they look at places to put these spring leagues, they're like, put it by the sickos.
After yesterday, after hearing from Adam Schefter, for me, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. That's next. It's Bishop and Friends on the Fan.
If the sound of another man slammed against plexiglass turns you on, you've come to the right place. Proud to be your home for Jackets hockey. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Low testosterone can be a real problem for many men. It causes poor sleep patterns, decreased energy, low sex drive, and it makes it really hard to stay in shape. And as we all know, a healthy body is very important to our overall health and well-being. This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health, and if some or all of these symptoms sound like you, we can likely help you be done with low T. We can also help you lose weight, support your metabolism, improve your gains in the gym, and more with our new targeted body composition plans featuring GH peptides, NAD+, GLP-1s, and more. Our low T protocols, applied in conjunction with our body composition plans, will help most men see real improvements, true weight loss, higher energy, improved sleep, stronger workouts, and a renewed sex drive as well. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on treatment the same day, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com.
Featured therapies are compounded and have not been evaluated nor approved by the FDA. Provider prescription required. See website for details.
I'm Roger from Columbus. I've lived in Ohio all my life. Owning your home is a cornerstone of the American dream. But for seniors, property taxes keep going up and are costing us everything we've worked for. They're even making it impossible for my grandkids to afford their first homes. Vivek Ramaswamy believes when you own your home, you're in charge. As governor, he'll roll back property taxes to levels from before the end of the pandemic. It's a practical plan that will put thousands of dollars back in your pocket next year while maintaining strong education and dependable police and fire. Ohio's politicians have ignored this crisis for too long. But Vivek Ramaswamy isn't a politician. He's an entrepreneur, and he's ready to fight for you. Ohio needs a leader who makes your life more affordable. That's Vivek Ramaswamy.
Lower costs, bigger paychecks, better schools. Vivek Ramaswamy for governor.
Paid for by Vivek Ramaswamy and Rob McCauley for Ohio.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code SPEED to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code SPEED for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code SPEED for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Matty guys here looking for a stylish, affordable SUV for the family. Check out the 26 Chevy Trax at McDaniel GM Superstore in Marion. This month, lease a brand new Trax for just $265 a month for 24 months with $3,139 due at signing, or finance for $295 a month with $1,000 down for qualified buyers. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details. The McDaniel GM Superstore has been family owned for over 100 years. They're just off Route 23095 in Marion, or you can visit McDanielGMSuperstore.com. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
Bacon, sausage, egg, cheese, made from scratch biscuits, fresh baked croissants, cinnamon swirl French toast. Hungry? Grab a hot UDF breakfast sandwich made in store for your morning. UDF, mornings made for you.
With Aetna, I always get a quick answer, and I don't have to search on the internet. They go above and beyond to help me with whatever I need.
Those words from a real Aetna Medicare Advantage member speak to why U.S. News & World Report named us a best Medicare Advantage company. Because we show up on calls with members and doctor's offices when requested. We show up with access to convenient care options. We show up for you. Because that's how healthier happens together. Member feedback has been edited for length and clarity.
From military life to a rewarding career in IT, kickstart your new journey in a matter of months in the fields of IT and cybersecurity, including AI. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including VA benefits.
At ADP, we know you want your landscape business to succeed, but we don't know anything about landscaping. ADP only knows how to handle the business of your small business. So if ADP focuses on the payroll and the HR, while you focus on the land and the scaping, success should follow. Just don't expect us to know all about Kentucky bluegrass, zero-turn cutting, or what to do with a woodchuck. That's for you to figure out. Let ADP help your small business focus on the part of the business you're good at. ADP for small business.
Broadcasting live from the McDaniel GM Superstore Studios, driving excellence since 1916. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. WBNS HD1 Columbus.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. 4 tickets to the Elite Eight have been punched. 3 of them are from the Big Ten. Purdue beat Texas last night 79-77 and will meet Arizona Saturday in San Diego. That's the regional final in the West. The South region will be decided Saturday in Houston. Illinois takes on Iowa. The Hawkeyes beat Nebraska last night, while the Illini upset the Houston Cougars. On the ice last night in Montreal, the Canadiens beat the Blue Jackets 2-1. CBJ fall to third in the Metro after the Penguins beat the Senators in a shootout. But the Jackets have a game in hand on the Islanders, so that's why, despite being tied in points, there's that separation. Columbus is back at Nationwide tomorrow hosting the Sharks. Sunday against the Boston Bruins. Both games you can hear right here on The Fan. In baseball, the Reds were shut out by the Red Sox yesterday 3-0. Both teams are back at it Saturday. In Seattle Thursday, the Guardians beat the Mariners 6-4. This update is sponsored by High Bank Distillery Co., locally inspired dishes and award-winning cocktails. Visit highbankco.com to make your reservation. Dine, drink, distill at High Bank.
Bo knows many people. He talks to the interesting ones on this show. This is Bishop and Friends.
Yes, it is. Joshua Perry, Eric Reeser, Ryan Baker with you on a Friday. You know, I don't plan everything that I say. Some of it just is top of the dome, train of thought, stream of conscious. Mm-hmm. But I'd mentioned Alabama's basketball and football programs and how it feels like, despite winning, even for Alabama, they're kind of going in 2 different directions because Nate Oates has the Crimson Tide in a Midwest region semifinal against Michigan tonight at 7:35. They're playing that game at the United Center in Chicago. And I don't know if we have enough time in this program to go over the type of people Nate Oates has put on the basketball court from a legal standpoint.
Questionable.
With some legal challenges. Well, here's an update from last week, was it? With Aiden Holloway, their guard and second leading scorer, I think, who was picked up by the feds with 2 pounds of pot, paraphernalia, and cash.
2.1 pounds of marijuana.
Apparently, he's been granted his motion to travel out of state by a Tuscaloosa district court judge. Mm-hmm. Alabama has Michigan in the Sweet 16. Why do you think, Joshua, he would be granted a motion to travel out of state if he's currently under federal investigation?
So he can go on spring break. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's what.
So he has been listed as out on the official availability report up till now. Now, the one for the game does not have to be complete. It doesn't drop till 80 minutes before tip, I believe. Supposedly, he is wanting to play in this game and trying to travel to the game at least.
Of course he is.
And be there in person.
Yeah.
Now, from the best of my knowledge, when this happened, Alabama had kicked him off campus.
Yeah.
And he was not in school at the time. So I don't know what that does with anything. If Nate Oates plays him tonight, though, oh my, if they allow him, if anybody allows him to play tonight.
So I don't
innocent until proven guilty. I mean,
he's right. You're right.
Ruin a young man's life before he's even guilty? These are the things that they say. This is not me advocating for this. This is what they would tell you.
I don't know if it's necessarily tonight. It's more of if tonight. I think it's when. If tonight he plays is an if. if Alabama beats Michigan.
Oh, come on.
When he plays for the Tide in their game Sunday, that regional final in Chicago against either Tennessee or Iowa State. Like, if they advance past the Wolverines tonight and maybe Holloway doesn't see the court, he's definitely playing Sunday.
Nate Oates is if this happens, would be maybe the biggest villain, because he is the guy who's basically like, oh, well, if all these dudes are eligible, we're going to play them, we're going to recruit them, we're going to get them out here.
Everybody else is doing it.
Yeah, and then, of course, we know the situation with alleged murders and whatnot, and now we've got a small-time drug trafficker, allegedly, who may be suiting up because he can hoop. Like,
it's different with Bediako, obviously, because there wasn't anything legal. You know, Bediako is an upstanding citizen from all accounts.
Who was just probably too old and need to get a regular damn job.
But he also went to a Tuscaloosa judge who granted the injunction on an NCAA ruling
The
allowing
judge
him to
shopping
play.
is insane. It feels un-American to be able to shop for judges the way that these institutions do.
And this is more of that. So it's if and when in the question of Aiden Holloway, who's been granted a leave to leave the state of Alabama and potentially go to the state of Illinois. The news yesterday, it was the news on Wednesday. It was reported Thursday. Myles Garrett changed the language in his contract with the Cleveland Browns, allowing a little more cap flexibility in future seasons from the Browns' standpoint and when his roster bonuses come due. No longer April, now a couple weeks before the start of the regular season. And really, for me and for a lot of people out there, raised the red flag, not a red flag, but raised the flag of, okay, this is going to open him up to be traded.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've been on this show, and I've been on every show I've been on, I've said they should have traded him instead of giving him that record deal.
I tend to agree.
Because they're not winning with him, and without him, maybe you can pull a couple of picks in the first round, have that draft capital, regardless of if you trust Andrew Berry or not, to actually use those for players that can help you out ever. Adam Schefter, yesterday on the Pat McAfee show, was asked about Myles Garrett and the trade potential that his new language presents.
Right away, I called the Browns. I'm like, what's going on here? And they're like, we are 100% definitely not trading him. I'm like, okay. Now, I will say this. They were adamant about it. And they're like, don't even bring it up and dignify the fact, because we're not trading him. The great part is it comes out, of course, you know, Field Yates sees it, other people see it. The contract language was modified, and everybody makes the conclusion that other teams also drew. Oh, something's going on. Now, here's what I would say. Again, all I can say is that the Browns were adamant to me, we are not trading Myles Garrett. This was not done to trade Myles Garrett. This was done to give us more cap flexibility.
Now, I believe him on the latter part, where the Browns said this was done for cap flexibility, certainly, but two things can be true.
Here's the thing. I think that they are telling the truth today.
Right.
I don't think their intent right now is to trade Myles Garrett. I don't think they want to do that. And I think in a perfect world, they start playing well enough where his sack totals really matter.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a team that we're talking about in the postseason, and do they have a shot at that point once they get there? But the reality of the situation is that if things don't get better, and they don't get better in short order, they're going to be listening to offers, as they should. So today, yes, they're telling the truth, but I think they absolutely opened the door to be able to move him if need be in the future.
I don't even think it's a get better thing, because you don't know if you got better until the season plays out and you're midway through the season or whatever. What if somebody at the draft says, hey, we're going to offer you this amount of picks, 2 first-rounders, whatever, for Myles Garrett? If they get an offer that they can't refuse, or as close to they can't refuse, I think they are absolutely going to do it in hopes of bettering the team with what you get back from Myles, rather than, hey, this guy's a really great player, but we've been 4-13 with him the last 2 years. This is going to help us get to that spot where we can fight for the playoffs.
I think that they probably want to wait and see on if they have anything figured out in terms of quarterback before they would do that. That's the only thing that's making me say that they wouldn't make a move at draft time. But if they did, I wouldn't be shocked, because if they get an offer that they can't refuse, they're a dumb organization if they don't take it. Like, that's the whole thing that comes down to it as well. And where I agree with Bake is, like, at a certain point, you can't refuse offers that are like, we're going to be much better if we do this. But I think they want to watch the quarterback situation play out a little bit before they make a definitive decision.
I heard Baltimore Ravens fan Matty Ice yesterday on Rothman and Ice saying if Baltimore calls and says we still have 14 and we have our first-round pick next year.
Can't do it.
No?
To Baltimore?
I'm okay with it as a Browns fan. You're not winning anything right now. The Ravens are trying to be all in, I guess, ish, where Lamar Jackson's window's closing.
Okay.
So I'm okay a couple of years of just getting your ass kicked. That's what's going to happen. But it's going to happen regardless of if you have Miles or if the Ravens have Miles. They're still going to beat you.
Bake.
Take their picks.
I'm okay with it, too, because here's why. I'm never the person that's like, if you're not going to win with this guy, and what you could get for him might help you get to that winning area, I don't care what he does on another team.
So
and I know you play him twice a year,
right?
But that's still just 2 out of 17.
But if he's the missing piece for them to complete a Super Bowl with Lamar, don't you feel like, damn, why did we help them win a Super Bowl?
But what if it helps my team get back in the playoffs and become a team that can contend for a Super Bowl?
I still think there is yes, that is a possibility, but you could draft the wrong guys, which we have seen plenty of times. And then you helped a team in your division get better while you screwed with the draft picks. Like, that's crazy to me.
Look, I am hoping it's the Dallas Cowboys, or I'm hoping it's a team in the NFC. But if the Ravens came to you with the same Max Crosby thing, and I could say as Andrew Barry, you can give us those 2 picks, your first this year, your first next year, a 3rd-round pick, and we'll also give you Dylan Gabriel. I'm okie dokie with it. But I do think what happens...
Why is he catching strays?
I don't need Dylan Gabriel. It's a sweetener, Joshua.
It's a sweetener.
What I'm thinking is going to happen is they, at the deadline like you saw, so that's Tuesday, November 3rd, is the trade deadline in the NFL. If that's the case, it's likely for me and what they should do, deal Myles Garrett, get 2 first-round picks. Damn if you're helping another team. You've got to worry about your team, especially as you're trying to open a sexy new stadium here in the next couple of seasons. Kurt Cignetti is the king of the mountaintop. You'll hear from him next. It's Bishop and Friends on The Fan.
A lot has changed in 30 years, but we're still that old shoe that feels worn in and well-loved. And, well, we smell a little, but whew, you've accepted that. The Fan.
At Great Lakes Hyundai, the savings are so good.
Take your shot to save at Great Lakes Hyundai. Shoot the hoop to get extra savings on your new car purchase. On top of big shot savings like 0% financing on 26 Hyundai Santa Fe's and Tucson's for up to 5 years. Plus, make no payments for 90 days. It's the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Dublin or Columbus or glakeshyundai.com. With first credit, some customers may not qualify. Interest accrues during no payment period. New Hyundais come equipped with owner assurance and America's Best warranty. A 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain coverage. Offer ends 3/31.
Common Man here for Jermaine. Everybody's talking about affordability when buying a car these days, but the truth is, GoJermaine.com has a great selection of affordable inventory. Maybe that tax return's going to hit your mailbox pretty soon. Well, go see my friends because they have 300 new cars under 30 grand, over 300 used cars under 20 grand, and it's only at GoJermaine.com. And along with their $1,000 price promise, no one's going to sell you a car for less. Get started at GoJermaine.com.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love with no artificial sweeteners, only 30 calories, just 5 grams of sugar, and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. That great Pepsi taste with even more to love. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.
It's 2026, the year you achieve your health goals. The Good Feet store wants to help. Trade in your bad feet for good feet. We want to help you walk, run, exercise, and play in comfort this year. Visit the Good Feet store on Polaris Parkway near the Polaris Mall or on Stringtown Road in Grove City.
Columbus has a new football team, the Aviators. UFL football lands April 3rd. Be there for our home opener at historic Crew Stadium. Don't miss it. Get your tickets now at UFLaviators.com. That's UFLaviators.com. Windows.com. United, we fly.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. You know, spring cleaning is a thing that happens in the spring. Go figure, it's in the name. But as you're getting rid of some stuff in your house that you no longer need, doesn't work right, or you never should have had in the first place, why don't you add your windows to that list? Yeah, your windows may have bad insulation. That's why they let in the cold air in the winter and the warm air in the summer. Makes your home less energy efficient. It's costing you money every single month. With Window Nation, you get high-quality, energy-efficient products at a great price. All of Window Nation's products are backed by a lifetime warranty, and right now is a great time to upgrade. The more you buy, the more you save in March. Up to 50% off all window styles from Window Nation. Plus, there's great financing options, including $0 down, 0% interest for 60 months, and payments as little as $199 a month. The first step is getting a consultation with Window Nation so they can find the problem areas in your house. I'm going to guess they're near the windows. So schedule that consultation for free today at windownation.com. Once again, that's windownation.com.
Can't get enough of your favorite fan content? Good news. We're on all the digitals. Follow 971 The Fan on X, Facebook, YouTube, The Talk, and Gram. Your digital home for endless shenanigans. The Fan.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy real estate as is fast for cash. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, commercial properties. I even buy my tenants won't pay me the rent houses. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
As speech pathologists, it's our privilege to help students develop their communication skills. However, the increased caseloads and responsibilities began to negatively impact the student's experience. With the help of my association, I was able to communicate these concerns to our district leaders, which directly led to the hiring of more speech pathologists to serve our kids. Now they're benefiting from smaller group sizes and are able to reach their goals quicker. My name is Morgan Gomez, and I'm a proud member of the Springboro Education Association because strong unions make strong public schools for our students.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We are tracking drier conditions later on today, and it will be a cooler one with highs only in the 40s for this afternoon. We'll see highs around 46 degrees with winds out of the north at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Heading into the weekend, we're tracking more sunshine and some quieter conditions here around. We'll see highs in the 40s on Saturday, into the upper 50s to near 60 here by Sunday. And that's a look at your 10 weather impact forecast. I'm meteorologist Aaron White here on 97.1 The Fan.
During this 10-second promo, Rothman will lose money gambling on something.
People like you come here and blow the family nest egg that built this town.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan. What's the weather outside? Who cares? Baker's in shorts. This is Bishop and Friends.
Is that true? Are you in shorts?
It's pretty much always true. 99% of the time.
It can be Winter Storm Fern. It can be what we had last Monday. It can be what we had this past Monday. It could be what we had last night. Baker's in shorts.
Love the commitment.
I mean, I will say there might have been, Fern might have put me in pants to shovel the snow at least. Because that's my rule. If the snow's going over top the shoes into my shoes, then
OHSAA responsibilities.
Yeah, like real professional stuff I have to do.
Here, we're just kind of, goofing on the radio. Eric Reeser, Joshua Perry, alongside with Baker. We got about 12 minutes. We'll talk to Tim May, get his thoughts on Ohio State's Pro Day. Heard from defensive coordinator Matt Patricia yesterday, as well as a couple silver bullets that Ohio State's going to need to lean on in terms of production, in terms of leadership, guys that have had experience not only with the long regular season, but the postseason into the college football playoff. All of that's going to be important to bring on those, some new guys to college football, some freshmen, but of the 51, you've got guys that have played college football, just not at this kind of level.
It feels more important now than at any point and teams are thinner because the talent's leveling out. Guys aren't willing to stay, but to have guys that you can trust for the duration of a long season is more important than ever. So it's a tall task, but I think the guys at the Woody are prepared.
And I told you 10 years ago, the college football world would be looking up at Indiana and Curt Cignetti. I guess we'll just start with at Indiana.
The almanac from Back to the Future, it's like one of those where if you had that, you'd be a rich man. Like I'd have thrown a couple dollars down on some futures if I had the knowledge that was going to happen, because the odds on that would have been ridiculous.
Just the idea that Curt Cignetti, Kirby Smart, similar contracts. Indiana's paying similarly for their football coach like Georgia.
Let me say this. That is what a serious athletic department would do, though.
Yeah.
Because it was literally every step of the way. They had his first year there, had most wins that they've ever had, immediately gave him a contract extension and a raise. And then James Franklin gets fired, and immediately, like 3 days later, they're like, hey, yeah, we're going to make this guy the highest paid coach, and we're going to put language in there that he's always going to be top 3 in college football. Feels very serious to me. And they paid their coordinators, too.
I was just about to say the coordinators got contracts right before the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
All of it's done much the same way Ohio State's gone about things, which is part of the reason why Indiana has had the success that they've had. Now, once you're at the top of the mountain, everybody's trying to look to knock you off. The Hoosiers began spring practice on Thursday. It'll be Josh Hoover for the 3rd straight year. Hoosiers are going to the portal for their quarterback. And so it's, for me, one of those things like, well, let's see how long can you keep this going. They were successful with Curtis Rourke. They were successful. Don't need to really rehash too much with Fernando Mendoza, but
Pretty
now
good.
Josh Hoover.
So I met with Curt Cignetti last spring, and we were just talking very casually. And one of the things that he mentioned was the amount of tape that he watches. He's a film junkie.
Yeah.
And this conversation spun off into he saw something on defense that Stanford was doing that he didn't like. And nobody should be watching Stanford football. And certainly you shouldn't watch the tape back to try to learn from them. But this is part of what I'm getting to is if you don't think that his evaluations are as airtight as anybody who's evaluating talent for college football, you're crazy. Like he watches so much that he's very familiar with these guys. And then when his recruiting staff is like, hey, this is a guy that we should bring in, he knows. He's like, it's either a yes or a no. We're not going to look at him, or I got to watch a little bit more before I say yes, but that's how detailed he is.
So Cignetti talked yesterday about building or starting over again after winning the whole thing.
We probably have more work to do with this group than the first 2 teams. Simply because there's so many that we don't have a 1 to 3 year relationship with. Whereas even the first year, there were quite a few we knew very well. But they've trained well. The reports have all been good. And, now we've got to develop them, which is a big part of this game. Now, I put the portal guys and the high school guys kind of in different categories. Because, a lot of the portal guys are 21, 22 years old, and they've been around the block once or twice, and the young guys are 17, 18, and have gone to college for the first time, in January, and they don't know. And but we got some returners that forgot what they knew. We're building a house from the ground up again, right? And we got to have that edge and be humble and hungry.
All of that I've heard from Ryan Day.
Yeah.
So I wonder if Coach Day, when he sees Cignetti at the Big Ten Media Days, he goes, welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to being chased. Welcome to having the highest of expectations. Welcome to constantly having to worry about your roster turning over.
Yeah, the roster turnover is something everybody's dealing with, but I think it's interesting to hear him admit the idea that he had a bunch of guys he was familiar with in year 1 because he brought a lot over, and then the guys that he kept from Indiana also had eligibility, and now he's dealing with more players who he's less familiar with. I think the learning curve on that is more difficult.
And, Reese, I have said on this show multiple times throughout the year, I think the fascinating thing on how good of a coach Curt Cignetti is, we'll be able to tell, is this season coming up. Because he brought half, I think, of a roster from a 12-1 James Madison team that if the college football playoff would have been expanded that year, probably would have made the college football playoff. He brought them with him to Indiana. So he had those guys that already knew his system, as you like to say, Reese, could teach the Indiana players and the new players how to dog in Curt Cignetti's system. And some of those were still there last year, but he still had a good Indiana class that was there. So I've always thought that this coming season is going to be the true test for Curt Cignetti. Now, there's no doubt he's a great football coach, and he won a national championship. This is going to be the tough year, though, for him.
I think it's compounded as well. The year after a title is always a difficult one. We went through it at Ohio State, and it was probably a more talented team than the one that won in 14, but guys have attention in different places, and everybody's figuring out, like, where's my NFL draft stock right now? And, we have the opportunity to go to All-Star Weekend for NBA and we can sit courtside, like I'm going to do that. No, the ESPYs want to honor our team. Like we're going to be out there in LA. And it's literally all of the externals. And he mentioned we had guys who should know and they maybe forgot how to know. That happens. And you have to really get the attention of your team back because everybody thinks they got all the damn answers.
And so for Indiana, you lose a guy like Omar Cooper to the NFL and you bring a couple guys out of the portal you think could fill those shoes. Michigan State's wide receiver Nick Marsh, a Detroit native, had 100 receptions for 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns in 2 seasons with the Spartans. His comments Cignetti made about him caught some attention yesterday on what he had on his feet that caught Cignetti's attention.
About 2 years of production at Michigan State. I remember we played Maryland early in the year, and they did too, and saw that tape, and he made some big plays in that game. And I didn't love those gold shoes he came out in today. He learned what getting your ass ripped is all about. I don't know if that happened in very often Michigan State. That was before practice started. That was a wake-up call. But, no, he's really worked hard. Done a great job for us.
So everything in that little soundbite we've brought up in different places in this segment. You talk about the tape that he's grinding. He's grinding Michigan State tape.
Yep.
And seeing Nick Marsh play Maryland and says, we can use that. That guy can help us. Having him the first day of practice walk out, talk about getting his ass chewed out. Like, I haven't heard Ryan say anything like that.
So I guess my thing is, all right, Cignetti. And I love him. I think he's phenomenal. Best coach in the game right now, in my opinion. The idea that there wasn't a conversation about the shoes as detailed as you are is one thing. But you should have known the dude might be a different shoe kind of guy with the money you probably had to pay him to get him to transfer there.
Yeah.
So this, to me, all right, brother, like we gotta get that all figured out behind the scenes.
Interesting that you said fill his shoes right before that soundbite.
I sometimes think about what I'm saying.
Talks about the gold shoes. I think this was probably something that was more for show for Cignetti, right? To just kind of set the example and make sure everybody is still focused on the right things. It may be silly and it may be ridiculous and he may not even care about it, but I'm guessing this was just used as an attention getter for the rest of the team.
You think he told him to go out there with the shoes on, like, hey,
maybe
put the shoes on. I'm going to rip you, but I want to do a thing right now. We're going to play a bit.
Could have.
Want to accuse Cignetti of being performative, but he's a flashier guy.
So I'll tell you this. There was one time where our special teams at Ohio State, like the practices weren't as crisp. And so Kerry Combs was like, hey, while we're going over this tape, I want you to get up and start getting on guys in the meeting. And it was one of those things where he's like, I'm telling you to do this because we got to get guys' attention. So it wouldn't be too far-fetched that he's like, hey, put the gold ones on real quick and then we're going to have a thing.
I mean, I do think when I hear him say that was a wake-up call, but he's worked really hard, done a great job for us to where Cignetti knew that the gold shoes were coming out, but just didn't make any effort to stop that. He said, all right, I'm going to set that, because again, that's day one of their spring ball. They're the defending national champions. Everybody's feeling good about themselves, and I'm going to pick on one of the new guys with the gold shoes for this. Back to what Ryan Day was saying, back to what a lot of the guys on Ohio State's team were saying last offseason where they had the banner taken down because we haven't done anything yet.
I love that.
Sig reminding them that you guys, that championship's not yours.
It's the hardest thing. It is the hardest thing is to get guys to feel like you are a champion, but not this year. And you got to feel like you're not a champion right now.
The venerable
it's
Tim
pretty
May.
simple. I win. Google me.
You can also Google. I wonder, actually, now that I'm going to go look in the break and see if I can find out who's got the longer Wikipedia page, Tim May or Kurt Cignetti. Tim May joins us in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends on the Fan.
Call the folks at Buckeye, night or day.
Hi, this is Max with Buckeye Heating and Cooling. Like your vehicle, your heating, cooling, and plumbing systems need to be maintained. We recommend our True Comfort membership designed to keep things working in tip-top shape. Thanks for letting us keep your home comfortable and plumbing worry-free. But when you need us,
call 614-683-9911. Call all the folks at Buckeye, night or day.
Hey, America, want to save $1,000 and get free internet forever? That was a rhetorical question. Switch to Spectrum and save $1,000 guaranteed. Seriously, you can hold us to it. We call it the Spectrum Savings Guarantee. Just switch 4 mobile lines to Spectrum and we'll give you free fiber-powered internet forever. Yeah, free internet forever. And we guarantee $1,000 of real savings in your first year, or we'll cover the difference. It's a guaranteed no-brainer. Learn more at spectrum.com/free forever. Spectrum Internet is powered by fiber and connected to the premises by coaxial lines. Restrictions apply.
Hey folks, it's Austin Ward here.
And it's Berm from the Austin Berm Show.
Berm and I have both done Awaken 180, which honestly should tell people something right there.
Right. It tells you that if it can work for you and me, it can work for anybody.
Because neither one of us has exactly been out here living or were living like a fitness influencer.
No, not unless you count fitness fast food tacos in my mouth.
You treated fast food like it was a love language.
I loved it, and I still do.
And look, that's fair, but that's also why Awaken 180 works for people listening right now. You don't have to be perfect. You don't even have to know what you're doing.
No, what you need is a plan. You need someone to help bring you along, and Awaken 180 does that. They tell you what to eat, when to eat, how to eat, and how to make it fit your life.
I lost 50 pounds with Awaken 180, then another 5 in free maintenance.
For me, it was 35. I'm in maintenance, and I'm under 200 pounds for the first time in 25 years.
This isn't just for some tiny group of people who already have it all figured out.
Nope, it works for real people with busy lives who are on the go just like us.
You know, if you're just tired of carrying that weight around, do what we did. It sounds like a lot of people out there can do exactly what Awaken 180 did for us.
Yeah, go to awaken180weightloss.com now.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for almost 80 years. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Pull up a stool and ask the bartender for something neat, because Uncle Bo is on the radio. This is Bishop and Friends.
Yes, it is. Eric Reeser, Joshua Perry, Ryan Baker with you on a Friday. We've gotten out of the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems fan guest hotline and bring on the host of the Tim May Show with Clay Hall, which you can find on FanStream Sports. He's the venerable Tim May. Tim, thanks so much for the time this morning. I saw you and Clay talking with Jeremiah Smith on Wednesday at Ohio State's Pro Day. Is it, I guess, appropriate to recklessly speculate that Jeremiah didn't participate in workouts or catch passes because he didn't want to upstage anybody?
Yeah, he kind of left that vague, but I would think that would be part of the equation, and hey, the more the drum rolls before you come on stage, probably the bigger impact you have. So that might be part of it too. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, he would have been a highlight. But I mean, it was cool watching Cardell Tate do his thing as Ryan Day said, eat up yards and make catches and take it to the house. And I think any question about, here's the thing. I mean, who knows what that 40 time thing is really all about? But there was no doubt over the last several years, Colonel Tate showed a great ability to separate and make catches, and that's, as Jeremiah Smith pointed out, that's all that matters. So, running in a straight line for 4.5 seconds, yeah, that gets you some bragging rights and catches some eyes. But, Jerry Rice didn't exactly blow people away with his 40 time, but he did all right in NFL historical annals.
So Tim does this thing. You know how when you see somebody you haven't seen in a minute, you're like, oh, we got to catch up. We got to get drinks. So he does this thing where he's like, oh, JP, we got to have you on the show. And finally, we ironed out a date. So, Tim, I'm excited to pop on there with you. But I wanted to ask you, you're a great reporter, always have been. The most interesting thing you saw or heard while you were out at Pro Day?
Most interesting thing I saw or heard, probably the buzz that I picked up on from, because I know a few of those NFL guys too, but the buzz I picked up on about Julian Sayin, because anybody just watches this guy throw the ball, and some guy, a lot of those guys haven't seen him live, you know what I mean, standing there when the ball's coming out of his hand, and as I say, Joshua, he throws those Hollywood kind of passes, meaning if you were filming a movie, making a movie, you wanted the ball in the air. Troy Smith threw the same thing, kind of, snap spiral kind of thing, and just how accurate he was. As Ryan Day even pointed out, he might have been high or something on maybe one throw, and there were only a couple of 3 drops, period. So that's what stands out more is, like Reeser was pointing out a minute ago, this Pro Day was pretty interesting. Next year is going to maybe be over the top if, in fact, Julian exercises his right, unless Congress or somebody takes it away. If he exercises his right, to leave, it's going to be a hell of a pro day. The thing that's also stood out in another way was, only 4 guys ran 40-yard dashes, and so most of these guys, the Stiles brothers, didn't even participate, as their dad said. They got their work done in Indianapolis. And by the way, congratulations, Lorenzo Stiles Sr., getting that gig on Eddie George's staff as an analyst. But they'd already done their thing. In fact, Lorenzo Stiles Jr. had his right arm in a sling. And, you read that tweet from, I think it's generated by his mom, but if he'd been able to swing with his preferable arm, his right arm, he might have had a plus 40-yard vertical leap. I mean, God, these guys ought to be playing basketball, but I digress.
Tim, every year at Buckeye Spring Practice, somebody shows up that you can tell was really putting in the work in the offseason. Yesterday we heard from Garrett Stover, and he looks like a different human. He's just a monster out there named an Iron Buckeye. Was there anybody else that you could tell had really been doing due diligence in the offseason?
Yeah, you can tell Luke Montgomery. Luke Montgomery's on the Caden McDonald diet, so to speak. Remember, Caden McDonald transformed himself before last season in terms of didn't necessarily get lighter, but got much more defined and just much more in shape from the standpoint of being able to go the distance. And Luke Montgomery said that's part of his motivation right now is having that stamina all the way to the end of the year. Although I thought he played extremely well all season long, but once these guys give up fried chicken, as Luke Montgomery said, that's probably the hardest thing you have to do when you do this. There's a dedication there, and you're just every time you look around, you're impressed by a lot of these guys when they see the light. I'm not sure. Joshua, I think, saw the light, but I think he saw the light in the 4th grade. But the bottom line is when these guys finally get dedicated totally to not just mind, but also not mind and soul, but also body, they really come into their own. That's why it's so funny to watch college football when guys come in and they have to get their act together over the first couple of years just on stuff like that. And then when you finally get them going, as Ryan Day said, some of those third-year guys are out the door, and you'd like to see them play another 2 years. But yeah, that's one guy definitely.
Tim May, our guest. Tim, I'm interested. You got the chance to speak to Arthur Smith for the first time on an official basis as new as new offensive coordinator of Ohio State. Just what that he said, what, if anything, about how he's going to try to, I guess, season this Ohio State offense took your attention, and then for Matt Patricia, kind of recommitting to Ohio State. What about what he said yesterday stuck out to you?
Well, both of them, I mean, they're impressive dudes because they're clearly used to dealing with the media, number one, but number two, you can just, competence oozes out of their pores. That's the way I most put it. I mean, like Arthur Smith said when I was trying to, ask him this question about, back in the old days, you were an I formation guy, or you were a wishbone dude, or you split backs, or whatever. I mean, offensive coordinators today are all of those plus other stuff. And like Arthur Smith was saying, I'm not going to give you my game plan kind of thing. He was just kind of joking about it. But both of these guys, to lump them into the same group, they're both adept at taking what they've got, meaning the talent on hand, and now getting the most out of that, in my opinion. And, yeah, neither one of them has as a head coach, has coached a Super Bowl champion, but they showed the wherewithal to even be named a head coach in the National Football League, both of them. So there's an organizational aspect to both of them in terms of being precise in their planning and all that kind of stuff. But like with Matt Patricia, I pointed out, he's got going to have 8 new starters again on defense, and it's like it's the same number of chess pieces, but these chess pieces move differently, and so you've got to adjust your board. And in some ways, that's an advantage for Ohio State, at least early in the year, like when they go to Texas, is I'm sure he will unveil some things that Texas thinks they've got all the tricks of the trade from him from last year, with Caleb Downs running the show. But this will be a totally different group of players, really, and it starts in the middle of that defense and goes out from there. But, he'll have new guys in new places doing new things, and that's what's really intriguing. And the same way with Arthur Smith. I mean, he can tell. I mean, if they get the offensive line going, the complete offensive line going, he knows he's got the weapons to do some stuff.
All right, so to that point, you've got the defensive coordinator in Matt Patricia with new pieces that he's got to get in place. And then you mentioned Arthur Smith, the new guy working under an offensive head coach. He's got an offensive line and a run game to figure out who's got more work ahead of them this spring.
I think they both do because, this, Joshua, I mean, when you call defenses, no matter what you call, no matter what gizmo you come up with, it's got to be sound, You got to cover all the gaps. You got to be gap sound up front, meaning maybe even a safety rolling up there in the C gap or something. But you've got to be sound, so you've got to trust people to get to the right place at the right time. And but then I would think probably Matt Patricia come close to duplicating what they did last year. That is quite the challenge. But I think the personnel is on hand. You've been around. I mean, they've got guys, they've got talent, but like he said, you're not going to replace Caleb Downs because Caleb Downs did everything from prep to being in shape to then on game day, not only getting you lined up right out there on occasion, sensing plays, but then being able to go and make the play. I mean, that's a rare dude. And so we'll see who emerges from a couple of maybe those transfers they got in the portal or somebody rising. I think Jalen McLean's going to play a bigger role, much bigger role in the defense than he did a year ago. But there's a guy that really blossomed as the year went on. I don't know if y'all agree or not. But so this just going to be a different way of doing things. Whereas with Arthur, I mean, you got almost your entire offensive line back, but that right guard's got to get figured out. If they get the right guard situation figured out, whether you're going to shuffle somebody down in there or somebody else is going to rise like Padilla or Gabe Van Sickle, that's what's going to be interesting as this spring goes on, and more to the point, preseason camp.
When are we going to get the Tim May Show with Clay Hall featuring Joshua Perry? Do you guys know when that's going to be available?
Yeah, it's going to be next Wednesday afternoon. And, I'm just trying to figure out in the way I do things how I can get more PT Bo. Because, man, that PT Bo must
me, Joshua, Baker, everybody is trying to figure out how to get onto that. And you
get more gigs, though. You get to talk more, Reese. You got to admit that.
You take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves. Tim, thanks so much for the time this morning. Look forward to catching up with you next week, all right?
Always a pleasure, especially when Joshua Perry's on, baby.
Oh, boy. All right. Thank you.
Joins us courtesy of the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. LSU spent how much money on football and basketball in the last 6 months? We'll tell you next. Bishop and Friends on the Fan.
We're the girthiest radio station in the history of radio. Uncomfortably girthy. This promo is uncomfortable. The Fan, Ohio's girth destination.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious, with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best.
Factory direct is really pretty simple. The factory sells it directly to the consumer. I mean, we build it. There's nothing that anybody else does. We have stations where everybody touches the window. Everyone sees what's going on. So if there's an issue, we catch it as it's going down the line. That's probably the biggest thing, is the ability to make sure what goes out the door is what I want to go out the door.
Visit Rosati Windows and get 35% off all windows and doors by March 31st.
I'm John Morgan. There are many reasons to hire Morgan & Morgan for your injury case. Reason number 3. First, all lawyers are not the same. If my family had an injury case and I couldn't hire us, there are only about 3 to 4% of the lawyers out there that I would hire. And here's why. Most of them rarely, if ever, go to trial. They just take the last best offer. Hell, you can do that yourself. Do this. If you're looking for a lawyer, Google Morgan & Morgan results and see what comes up. It may shock you. Then Google the firm you're thinking of hiring and do the same. That may shock you as well. We became the largest injury firm in the world for a reason. We won a lot. $30 billion and counting. Morgan & Morgan, or thepeople.com. Who would I hire? I'd hire us.
Morgan & Morgan, Ohio office located at 600 Vine Street, Cincinnati. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
Tax time is here, folks. That refund's burning a hole in your pocket, or maybe you're just ready for something bigger, tougher, more you? Well, listen up. Capital Ford's got what you need. Get 0% APR financing for up to 60 months on select models. Plus, qualified buyers can defer payments for up to 90 days. Capital Ford has options for everyone. Great rates, flexible terms, and approval power to put you behind the wheel fast. No perfect credit needed. So what are you waiting for? Visit CapitalFordColumbus.com today. See dealer for details. Not all buyers qualify.
When you saw your heating bills this winter, did you think this is out of control? The problem is your house is leaking money, and the only thing higher than your heating bills are your cooling bills. Steve here from USA Insulation. Let us fix your energy bill problem for good. If you aren't foam insulated, you really aren't insulated. For $99 a month, interest-free, we'll foam your home and help cut those energy bills. 529-2440 or usainsulation.net.
USA Insulation.
Hi, I'm Dr. John Runyon from Runyon Dental Group. Are you missing teeth or do you have uncomfortable dentures? Dental implants can not only transform your smile, they can restore your confidence and allow you to eat those foods you love that you've been missing. When I was in my early 30s, I was in a similar situation needing complex dental work and dental implants. I understand all the emotions that you're feeling because I've been the patient and I know that we can help you. Schedule a free consultation today at runyondentalgroup.com. That's runyondentalgroup.com.
The Jackets are back at Nationwide for a battle with the Sharks. Live fan coverage starts Saturday at 4:30.
Sponsored by Atlas Butler Heating and Cooling.
Proud to be your flagship home of the Columbus Blue Jackets, The Fan.
It's Timmy Hall here with Gordon Miller, founder of Miller Lending. Now, Gordon, I remember hearing of your no-cost mortgages back in 2008 when I was on the air in Raleigh-Durham. So what brings you to Central Ohio?
Hey, Tim. Small world, isn't it? But we saw Columbus as the perfect market to offer our no-closing cost mortgage product. With a growing population and relocations, it was similar to our original decision to expand into Raleigh back in '96.
Well, I got to see firsthand how well it worked in Carolina. So how about explaining to our listeners how it truly has no closing cost associated?
That's right, Tim. Way back in 1987, I found a way to do mortgages without using the standard method of buying the rate down with thousands of dollars in various costs. Rates were volatile, much like they are today. And folks were stuck at higher rates because it simply cost too much to refinance. There had to be a better way, and we think we found it.
That was Gordon Miller, founder of Miller Lending, the home of the no-cost loan. Give him a call, 877-9-NO-COST, or online at nocostmortgage.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender. NMLS number 2502146.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Weston Air Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
Keep your friends close and your producers closer. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Eric Reeser, Joshua Perry, Ryan Baker with you on a Friday. Thanks to Tim. Always thanks to Tim for the time. Fridays at 10:30. Again, get the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall wherever it is you do your podcasting. FanStream Sports has it up on YouTube, but Joshua Perry, you're making an appearance on it next Wednesday, when it'll be out for the fans, the friends, everybody to consume.
Thing or not a thing?
Sponsored by Billiards Plus. Find your next grill and everything you need for the master griller. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
All right, we don't have anything concrete yet on what Will Wade's going to be making with his new deal at LSU. We do know that NC State paid him $2.5 million, and this was just a season with the Wolfpack. He did lead them to the NCAA tournament. They were dismissed by Texas in one of those first four play-in games out in Dayton. But LSU has reportedly spent $200 million on football and basketball, men's basketball alone, in the last 6 months. You'll start with Brian Kelly's buyout of $54 million, Lane Kiffin's new contract of $91 million, their 2026 football budget, $40 million, their old basketball coach's buyout, Matt McMahon, they're paying $8 million. And then Will Wade's buyout at NC State, $3 million. So if the $4 million reported for Will Wade per year at LSU bumps that north of $200 million on two sports, thing or not a thing?
It's a thing to me because you have to pay to play and if you're playing, you're trying to win in this era of collegiate athletics. It's a lot of money, but I think a lot of schools who want to be competitive are going to try to find the money to do this. The bigger thing to me here, though, is the dead money, per se, that is involved in this. The buyout to Brian Kelly and the buyout for the basketball coach. Like, that is just something that you get no ROI on. Like, you get to turn the page, and I think it's important to do that. But the idea that you're willing to say, we'll spend $60 million to pay people who aren't here, that's the thing to me.
And to take that a step further, you're paying these coaches that much money to go away. Quit asking the fans for NIL dollars. Quit asking the fans to buy your gear, pay for tickets, come to games, pay for parking, everything that's involved in that. The normal thing that a fan has to do, quit asking them to throw dollars into foundations and collectives, into NIL money. Why don't you keep the coach and that $54 million you paid him to go away, you throw that into your NIL, into your funds to help further your program, and maybe that coach could do a little better. Now, I'm not making excuses for Brian Kelly. LSU was at the forefront of everything, and he probably got as many resources as anybody in the country. Quit asking fans, though. If you have all this money that you can pay people to leave, because you keep asking me for money, I'm going to leave. So stop.
Preach.
So on Thursday, Will Wade's old boss, NC State Athletic Director Boo Corrigan, said he was shocked that Wade left for LSU.
Go back to Tuesday night, we talked about everything in the program and what we can do, who we're going to play. You can't really talk. Transfer portal's not open, so you can't talk about this person or that person. We talked about last year's team and who was going to be back. Asked him what he needed, right? What do we need to be competitive? From there, as far as the resignation letter, it was an email, right, that we received from his agent, in talking with his agent. You know, I think I would commiserate with them in terms of feeling lied to, right, and let them know that it's not something that I didn't know anything about, and, you know, as surprised as they are by what's going on, but reassure them that we're going to find a coach that wants to be at NC State.
Resignation via email, thing or not a thing?
That is a thing to me. I don't think the lying portion is a thing. I've said I don't think people necessarily need to lie, but in that situation, I don't think you piss off a job that wants to have you in pursuit of a job that you would like to have in case things don't work out. But again, you want to make sure that you position yourself. I think the lying in that case is what it is. But the resignation over email is the part that is bad to me. Because if you're going to lie and you're going to talk about the future and we're going to be there, and when you were asked the question about the job, you deny. If you're going to do all that, that's fine. But when it's time to leave, you got to man up and you got to look somebody in the eye, shake their hand, thank them for their time and what they did for you, and then be out the door. I don't like the have the agent reach out, not even in person, and do the thing. Like, that's crazy.
JP, normally I'm with you on that. I think it's different with agents because a lot of times agents and jobs will go through each other back and forth. They'll be the middleman. And I also know there are a lot of places that would fire you by email and not even, shake you in the hand, look you in the eye and shake you in the hand. So I'm normally with you. I would be that guy, but I could understand it in this case. Here's where it's a problem to me. If you go on social media and you look at the post Will Wade put out for when he's leaving NC State, he talks about Boo Corrigan and how great of a job he's doing and how committed he is to NC State athletics and how thankful he was to him, and just going on and on about Boo. If you truly feel that way, then you go, hey, I hate to do this. I appreciate everything. I've got to take this opportunity, shake his hand like you said. That's where I really have a problem with this.
I think most of these guys understand at the end of the day it's a business, right? So they get it. I'll tell this real quick. I know we're doing a show here. The last job that I was at when I was in Chicago that I left, I had made the decision that I was going to leave. I had not spoken to my bosses for over 3 months And when I left, I didn't hear a word from anybody. And I don't like when you spend that much time around somebody and everybody's supposed to be invested and committed. And then when things end, it's like that. That's immature and it's weird to me. So I feel like at least you could shake his hand. If not that, call him on the phone or something. But don't just have the agent send the email.
At least give him a Jeter gift basket.
Something.
It's the ultimate thank you for your service, but here's the agent email. It's a good job out of you. We haven't, through 2 hours of the program, done any baseball. You had opening day for the Guardians and the Reds yesterday. That's a little bit, of what we learned from a busy week. That's coming up next. Bishop and Friends on the Fan.
All the Ohio State conversation you can handle. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
Your Ohio State flagship station. The Fan.
Common Man here for Universal Windows Direct. If you've opened that energy bill lately and thought there's got to be a better way, there is. Drafty, outdated windows can drain your wallet month after month, letting warm air escape in the winter, cool air leak out in the summer, and forcing your HVAC system to work overtime. Call my guys at Universal Windows Direct. They'll take care of you. Buy 2 windows, you get 2 free, and there's no limits. Plus, 24 months with no payments and no interest. Call 614-502-5220, universalwindowsdirect.com. Common Man here for Jermaine. Everybody's talking about affordability when buying a car these days, but the truth is, GoJermaine.com has a great selection of affordable inventory. Maybe that tax return's going to hit your mailbox pretty soon. Well, go see my friends because they have 300 new cars under 30 grand, over 300 used cars under 20 grand, and it's only at GoJermaine.com. And along with their $1,000 price promise, no one's going to sell you a car for less. Get started at GoJermaine.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5 grand. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code SPEED to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code SPEED for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code SPEED for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
When you've thrown over 4,000 innings like I have, you know joint pain isn't a maybe, it's a guarantee. For you, was it climbing ladders or too much heavy lifting? Hey, we're all in the same boat. But surgery, that was never my answer.
Baseball legend Roger Clemens knows there's a better way. That's QC Kinetics regenerative treatments that help your body heal itself. No scalpels, no fake fixes, just real relief.
What I love about QC Kinetics, these are the most respected medical pros in the country that specialize in non-surgical therapies to get you moving again.
Don't mask the pain, fix it. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation.
I trusted QC Kinetics. You should too.
Call QC Kinetics today and schedule your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. 380-208-4544.
James Laurinaitis here for my guys at Green & Sons, the premier Kubota dealership in Central Ohio. Green & Sons has all the Kubotas you need to tackle your land and come out a winner. They have zero-turn skid steers, tractors from 18 to 171 horsepower, and also utility vehicles. My favorite is my RTV Sidekick. The best thing about Green & Sons is they've been family-owned and operated since 1970, and you will love dealing with the Green family and their winning team. Do what I did and check out Green & Sons located in Mount Sterling and Marysville, or online at greenandsons.com for all your Kubota needs.
Hey, it's Anthony, and I've got my own good feet story. I fought plantar fasciitis for a while. That's that horrible heel pain that seems to come out of nowhere. And not being on my feet was not ever going to be an option for me. I did all the home remedies, rolling the tennis ball under my feet. And the relief never really stuck until I went to the Good Feet store, where I was personally fitted with Good Feet arch supports based on my feet and arch size and the goals I have for my lifestyle. As soon as I popped them in my shoes, I could feel the difference. And now every day, my feet feel good. My knees, my hips, my back, they all feel supported and so much better aligned. I've complained about my back for years, but guess what? Nobody's heard me talk like that in a long time. These are a game changer for me every day. They're in my shoes to work out, to go to work, and soon in my golf shoes. The journey to feeling my pain go away has been nothing short of awesome, and just feeling the support I get puts me in a great mood. So stop in either at their store in Grove City or on Polaris Parkway in Westerville, or get started right now at goodfeet.com.
Enjoy more ways to save at Kroger, like low prices in every aisle. And you can clip and save more with digital coupons in the Kroger app. Plus, you can earn fuel points to save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. So it's always easy to save big. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Fuel restrictions apply. See site for details.
Save big on your Easter ham. Kroger Bone-In Hickory Smoked Honey Glazed Spiral Ham is on sale now, just 85 cents a pound with your card. Limit 2. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Broadcasting live from the McDaniel GM Superstore Studios. Driving excellence since 1916. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. WBNS HD1 Columbus.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. The Final Four tickets to the Elite Eight will be punched on Friday. Regional semifinals in the Midwest at 7:10 in D.C. St. John's battles Duke. Michigan State plays UConn at 9:45. In the East, Friday at 7:35, Alabama has Michigan in Chicago. At 10:10, Tennessee takes on Iowa State at the United Center. 4 teams advance to the Elite Eight for regional finals to be played on Saturday. Iowa has Illinois in Houston. Arizona takes on Purdue in San Jose. On the ice last night in Montreal, the Canadiens beat the Blue Jackets 2-1. CBJ fell to third in the Metro with the loss. That's after the Penguins beat the Senators in a shootout. Columbus back to Nationwide for a back-to-back. Tomorrow hosting the San Jose Sharks. Sunday against the Boston Bruins. And in baseball Friday, the Guardians look to go 2-0 against the Mariners, taking them on in Seattle at 9:40. This update is sponsored by Logan AC Heat and Plumbing Services, home of fast, friendly services. Logan Services, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
They've all been paid by the Cleveland Browns. This is Bishop and Friends.
Well, 2/3 of this show, at least that we know. Eric Reeser, Ryan Baker, Joshua Perry joining us. I don't think you've been paid by the Cleveland Browns, have you?
No, I have not.
Bo, who has been, will be back on Monday from spring break. I'm kind of anxious for him as he travels back from Florida.
So
with 3 kids and a wife.
I think they came to a resolution.
Okay, good. I didn't see that. Has that been signed? Like, do we have the big Sharpie marker on that?
I think it was like a 2 a.m. deal.
Okay, good. So then it'll be all will be well. I'll tell you this though, Joshua. Whenever he talks about travel, I think, but this last time he's returned from a trip, it's all been bad, or it's all at least been an experience he didn't want to have again. We'll find out Monday. But we'll join the show at 9
Does
a.m.
anybody ever have just a smooth, no gripes, no complaints travel experience? Like, there's always something.
So I must be in the minority with this, Joshua, and I'm not traveling with kids or a bunch of people or whatnot, but I have very rarely ever had a bad travel experience. Almost always my travel experiences have been fine, and maybe it's because I'm just okay getting to the airport early and bellying up to the bar and paying those exorbitant prices for
airport beers.
Yeah, because if I'm in the airport, chances are it's a vacation. Even if I'm going for work, it's some kind of vacation. So I'm okay with just enjoying my time at the airport, but I've never really had crazy delays or any of that.
So my issue isn't usually anything catastrophic. I've had some of the ones where I complained for weeks after, but that's a pretty rare thing. I think when all of the stuff was happening where they were trying to figure out, air traffic control and who's really qualified to do those jobs or whatever the case was, I feel every time I go into the airport, I'm delayed. And it's an air traffic issue, and it's typically when I'm flying into New York. Or I'll get on a plane that has a maintenance issue that they just flew in. Like, brother, the plane was fine 20 minutes ago when it landed. Now all of a sudden we got a cargo door that, by the way, it takes only like 15 minutes to fix. It takes 40 minutes to do the paperwork. That's where I usually get caught up.
Well, I will say, I'm glad the flight before was the test dummy and not mine, at least.
Yeah, at least you're not the flight where the cargo door opens mid-flight.
I don't even check a bag most of the time. It's not my stuff flying out. I'm good. Get me to where I need to go.
And I guess I wonder in those situations where the pilots 5 minutes left in the flight before they got to start to descend. They get that blinking light that comes on. So something's over, like, Jesus, take the wheel. We're
they
going.
got the check engine light flashing on the dash.
Kick in the autopilot and pray.
We're getting on the ground. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out then. So as Bo wraps up spring break, do not bother him on social media with what we're about to do.
We're not trying to do too much around here, but over the course of 5 days, you might have gleaned some stuff. Bishop and Friends present What We've Learned This Week.
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery Co. Make a reservation today at highbankco.com. Dine, drink, distill at High Bank.
Again, don't tweet at him at Bo Bishop that we're about to talk baseball. Just, it's going to upset him. He's on spring break.
I think he would understand, though. So it was opening day. I think Bo would.
I wouldn't want to broach the subject with him. But Baker broached it opening day in baseball. Hopefully everybody had a wonderful first day. Everybody's, right? We're all happy. Guardians on the path to 162-0.
There you go.
With a 6-4 win over the Seattle Mariners yesterday. And Joshua, it was how they did it. With Chase DeLauder and his first regular season plate appearance. You know what he did? Solo.
Love it.
He's 2 for 4 in the game, I believe, with a pair of them. So the Guardians doing what they've done forever. Take a young guy, ride him for a couple of years, take him to arbitration 4 or 5 different seasons in a row, and then he goes somewhere else. But they win games, and they don't have to spend any money doing it.
Well, I'm not going to get into that aspect of it, but that was a good thing to see, though, because he's been a guy who's dealt with some injuries as well. And so if you can get him healthy, and he's going to, I'm not expecting him to have, 2 home run games all the time, but if he's going to be like that at the plate, like feeling pretty good about the prospects of this Guardians team, already feeling good anyway coming into the year.
3 for 5 from the plate for the 24-year-old. And yeah, look, all you do is just got to win the one. And, I think with games for the Guardians, what I always do is I pull my hair out in the summer when they drop like 2 or 3 to the Baltimore Orioles.
Oh, that's the part where I drop out.
Yeah, but I'm sitting there going like, this is going to matter. Like these games, they all matter. All 162 of them. They'll have the chance to go 2-0 tonight against the Mariners at 9:40 on Apple TV.
All right.
So if you're, Friends and Neighbors with John Hamm, if your subscriptions lingered from that season, you could watch it if you'd like.
I think my boy Russell Dorsey is going to be on the pregame show for the Apple crew there. So
you don't get to watch it on the Specialized Guardians channel tonight. It's Apple exclusive.
It's the exclusive, yeah.
Well, Friday Night Baseball. Streamer.
Second game of the year. Might as well get it out of the way, right?
If you've got those obligations, sure, why not? I know the Guardians, after this series with the Mariners, they've got the Los Angeles Dodgers. So the big early test to see
they looked all right, didn't they?
That's just they're gonna do it. I mean, someone was asking me the other day, like, who do you think's winning the World Series? I'm like, it's the Dodgers.
It's wild that people and I get it, but it's wild that we're kind of like foregone conclusion. They're stacked. They spend the money they've got. Ooh, scary.
Earlier we talked about starting games at 10:05, and I understand. You're in Seattle. I get why that game starts at 10:05. It is criminal for Major League Baseball to do this to the Guardians or any other team that's on the East Coast starting their season in the West Coast. Make the West Coast teams, make it work out somehow where they're playing each other, and you don't have to do that, because that is absolutely criminal. That if you're a Guardians diehard, you had to stay up till 1 o'clock last night to watch your team's opening baseball game, all of it.
I will say this, because the weather in Cleveland makes it impossible to where if you did what they said, if you were to do, if Major League Baseball was to do, well, they never give up that's the Dolans thrive on the ticket revenue. Like, that's where they make their nut, because you don't make it with the TV deals, not in professional baseball. 4 against the Mariners, so they're 1 for 4 right now. Pretty good for the Guardians. But then Monday, the Los Angeles Dodgers 10-10 Monday and Tuesday. Nice 8:20 start for Wednesday. Not a great start for the Reds, Baker, yesterday. They got shut out by the Red Sox 3-0 in Cincinnati. I thought, and I still think, that Cincinnati might be one of the only teams that does this, where they start on opening day and then they take a day off. But Baker reminded me that several teams do this. It just felt always to me, it's like a feels like thing, right?
Feels like. That's how we started the show.
Reds, only one that does it.
Yeah, it's weird that they do that. I don't understand it. I think it's weird that we're starting the baseball season on Wednesday and Thursday. Let's just start it on Sunday or Monday, something like that. Look, the one thing that is a question mark for the Reds this year is going to be offense. Can they score enough runs? I don't think you were ever worried about their pitching. Andrew Abbott looked fantastic yesterday in his first start of the year. And you went up against Garrett Crochet, who's a pretty damn good pitcher himself. So the offense is going to be the question for Cincinnati all year.
One of the things that we've also not necessarily learned, but it's been reinforced how much the NFL loves itself. And I think the NFL looks at Ohio State and sees it seems something very similar. And so the NFL loves Ohio State, not just with the 32 teams that had several representatives for Ohio State's Pro Day Wednesday, but Jackson Smith-Njigba is the highest paid wide receiver in history. 4-year, $168.6 million extension. The AAV on that, $42.15 million. All of it deserved, because that's the market. But if you would have told me last season, this time last year, that JSN would be making more per year, more total, than Justin Jefferson, than Jamar Chase, than Garrett Wilson, I'd tell you you're crazy. But his performance on the field showed.
I would have believed it, because he was always trending as one of the top guys. And as we mentioned, we love to reset markets when it comes to professional football.
Oh, we do.
The next guy's always got to be the highest paid guy. So that doesn't shock me whatsoever. Certainly deserving of it. And I mentioned this earlier in the week when we had discussions about it. Curious about the turning of the page on the offensive side for Seattle with some new blood in there calling plays, because the way they utilized him and how they would have him line up and how they used to attack coverage with him, even like running routes out of the backfield, I think was part of the reason why he was so effective. They just understood his skill set so well. But happy for the dude. Hope he's got a nice circle around him so he's insulated, because there's going to be some people calling asking to hold a couple dollars here.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely picking up all of the checks at dinner.
As he should.
Forever.
Yeah.
And
you're rich, you got it.
For Seattle, you don't want to pay Kenneth Walker the money. If you're JSN's agent, you go, well, now you need my client more than ever.
Put it in my check.
This is also going to be good for one Puka Nacua, who, despite some weird news this week, are we biting people still? Like, it was the spitting incidents that happened last year in the NFL. I'm like, we don't need to be spitting. At this point in society, like,
spitting's the most disrespectful thing you can do.
Agreed. And also biting, not necessarily disrespectful, just one, weird. Two, if you've got something like rabies.
Well, leaving a mark is wild. He was chomping.
Some people might be into that sort of thing. I don't know if necessarily that's in Puka's case, but he was before that on track to be the new market resetter there.
This is an offseason where you sit your ass down and don't bite people if you're
You don't go anywhere.
You just sit in the house.
You don't go online.
Yeah.
You don't do the Twitch streams.
No.
You don't do social media.
No, just sit down.
And wasn't it rumored that Puka was dating Charlotte Flair or hanging out with her? Just follow her to all the WWE events this offseason and stay in the back.
You think in the bedroom, like, she's putting the figure 4 leg lock on him?
Okay, I'm not going to answer that.
Is that. Nobody else had that thought whenever you see, like, wrestlers out with their significant others? You think that?
I mean, I have that thought now. I didn't before. I do now.
We also learned that and again, not a learn necessarily, but a reaffirmation of the Blue Jackets in the position that they put themselves into with 10 games left to go. So caller number 10 at 821-9710 wins a pair of tickets to see the Blue Jackets taking on the Carolina Hurricanes next Tuesday at Nationwide. So 10 games left to go for the CBJ. Third place in the Metropolitan Division. Still weird to think that that's the best case for them to make the playoffs is through the division. Caller number 10, 821-9710, gets a pair of tickets, CBJ and the Carolina Hurricanes. Rick Pitino was asked about the death of Cinderella. He took it one step further. You'll hear from him next. It's Bishop and Friends on The Fan.
The sound of Paul Keels calling a Buckeye game is erotic. Oh, yes. Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Tired of snoring? Dr. Mark Levy can help with a custom mouthpiece that opens your airway and stops the snoring. No mask, no noise. Call 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or visit sleepbettercolumbus.com today. Stop snoring. Sleep better. Live better.
Oh, what? Just cleared that drain last week.
At the Waterworks, we mean clean, which means we don't just clear your drain, we actually clean it. Get your drains good as new with the Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results.
He's a husband, a dad, owner of a gym. He's also a police officer. Staying strong and pain-free isn't optional. It's safety. That's why David Boardman's a QC Kinetics patient.
My job is dependent on my physical ability and my physical fitness so that I can protect myself, so that I can go home safe to my family at the end of the night.
But severe knee pain nearly took that away. Doctors said surgery, shut down the workouts. David needed another option. That was QC Kinetics. They told him,
we're going to give you the opportunity to have not one, but 2 healthy knees, and we don't have to cut you open.
They used David's own healing tools in his blood to help restore his knees. Regenerative treatments right in the office.
Since I've gone to them, I run 20, 30 miles a week.
Trust the team helping active people avoid surgery. Call QC Kinetics today for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. 380-208-4544. 380-208-4544.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. If your garage floor has stains, cracks, or even the dreaded bad epoxy job, maybe one you tried to do yourself, maybe one you paid for and it didn't work out, it can make your entire garage look bad. Let's be honest about it. And maybe those botched garage floor coatings that you've had in the past have put you off of ever getting it fixed. Well, my friends, let me tell you, the people at Comer & Cross Concrete Floor Coatings want you to know there is a fix out there. They can make your garage floor gleaming, glistening, look like a new car showroom. You call Comer & Cross at 1-800-NEW-FLOOR, and they will come out with their pros, no subcontractors, and install a gleaming new Comer & Cross garage floor in just 1 day. Yeah, this floor is guaranteed to never chip, crack, or even show tire lift like epoxy or paint can. Never going to have that problem with Comer & Cross. Call them today, 1-800-NEW-FLOOR. It's that easy. 1-800-NEW-FLOOR, or you go to comercross.com. That's COMER cross.com. Get a new garage floor with Comer & Cross Concrete Floor Coatings today.
Spring is hatching at the Columbus Zoo. Join us April 3rd and 4th for Eggs, Paws, and Claws. Snap a pic with the Easter Bunny, meet Egbert, roll into Shelley's Shellebration, and crack the clues in the Explore and Find. It's 2 extra fun days you won't want to miss. Get your discounted tickets at Kroger.
Hey, it's T-Bone again. Listen up. Sleep apnea doesn't have to rule your nights. Dr. Mark Levy's been treating snoring and sleep apnea for over 15 years with proven results. And now he has an office in Marysville. Call 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or go to sleepbettercolumbus.com. Stop snoring, sleep better, live better.
This is Pause Before You Play, and it's time for more game day picks from local sports fans. You're on the air. Who you got?
Actually, I'm not betting, just chilling and watching the game.
I know that move, a pause. Sounds like you've got a winning strategy.
Exactly. After I set limits and recognized the risk, I knew it was time to stop.
Now that is responsible betting, folks. Sports are fast. Betting shouldn't be. Make a plan at pausebeforeyouplay.org. That's pausebeforeyouplay.org.
Springtime is here, and you know what that means. It's time for mulch madness. Did you know that too much mulch is bad for trees and shrubs? 2 inches of mulch is plenty. Any more and you risk causing roots to grow up and around trunks, which increases unhealthy stress, shortens tree life, and even keeps moisture from getting down to tree roots. To find out more about mulch madness or to find a certified arborist near you, visit treesforohio.org. That's trees, the number 4, ohio.org.
What's the best way to make sure you don't miss any of your favorite fan shows? Oh no! Download the Fan app, silly.
Ah, damn it, I knew that.
App Store, Google Play, or just scream right at your phone. Psst, you can also listen to Buckeye games. Do it now. Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We'll see drier conditions and more sunshine later on this afternoon, but it will be a cooler day with highs only in the 40s here for your Friday, calling for a high near 46 with winds out of the north at 10 to 20 miles per hour. And as we head into the weekend, we're tracking more sunshine and some quieter conditions with highs in the 40s on Saturday. And that's a look at your 10 weather impact forecast. I'm meteorologist Aaron White here on 97.1 The Fan.
During this 10-second promo, Rothman will lose money gambling on something.
People like you come here and blow the family nest egg that built this town.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan. Sports conversation that's worthy of a toast, or at least a stiff drink. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Yes, you are. Eric Reeser, Joshua Perry, Ryan Baker with you. In about 12 minutes, we'll go out to the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems fan guest hotline and bring on great friend of the program, Doug Maurice of the Bill and Doug Show. Bill and Doug on Ohio State football you can get on Substack. He was a very active participant in Ohio State's Pro Day.
I was trying to flag him down. I wanted to shake his hand and say hello. I hadn't seen him in a little while. And I was talking to somebody, wrapping up a conversation. I had eyes on him. and go to shake the hand, see whenever, and I flip around, he's gone. Without a trace.
He's one of the most intelligent people we have the pleasure of speaking with, but he hustles.
He does.
And he's
everywhere.
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 So we'll get his thoughts, because I'm sure he fancies, we fancy him as kind of the Paul Feinbaum of the North, and where he's kind of taken that stance. I think he's the only podcast that has a sword. Only sports podcast that has a sword. I'm sure a Game of Thrones podcast would do well to have a sword, but he's very much a North versus South kind of guy. And so I wonder, with this kind of Big Ten early domination in the Elite Eight, get his thoughts on that, what Ohio State needs to do on the basketball side to join their Big Ten brethren this deep into the NCAA tournament, and then get how things were from his perspective on a pro day. But again, we'll do that in 11 minutes. So you have 4 games tonight, East and Midwest regional finals. At 7:10, St. John's has Duke. And so that game's on CBS, played in Washington, D.C. And I learned this week, speaking of the last segment, that Duke's never won a national championship without beating St. John's sometime within the season.
Oh, that's interesting.
So in 1990, the 90-91 season, they met in the Elite Eight. Duke won that one. In 91, 01, 10, and 15, they were non-conference wins. But for Duke to win a national championship, and I had thought, if you'd asked me, I think before yesterday was when I saw the stat, because as you're watching college basketball, you're seeing all of the, they're nameless Twitter accounts. And they're most of them are gambling related.
Well,
and so they're throwing out stats and they're throwing out different things. And that's where I had seen this, that Duke's national championship, I think their first one was 91.
Huh.
I'd have thought it'd been like the 80s or something.
That's what it feels
how
like.
long Mike Krzyzewski was there, but 1990, and can confirm, having been born in 1990, was a long time ago. So the next game in the East will be Michigan State and UConn. That's at 9:45. I mean, think of the coaches in that region. The final 4 coaches there: Rick Pitino, John Shire, Tom Izzo, Dan Hurley.
I mean, there's some guys who've been around the block, and John Shire, who's a very good coach, who hasn't been around the block nearly as much. But I don't know. I mean, we're going to talk about the blue blood thing here, but that feels a little bit blue to me.
Yeah, the first thing I think, Josh, when we came on this week, was how Cinderella's dead. Because I think there was only one double-digit seed that had made it into what is the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, and nobody, and the Rock means nobody's thinking Texas is a Cinderella. But that doesn't mean like those kinds of experiences can't be had by, like, High Point, is still a really cool story.
Right.
And the numbers for the first and second round of the NCAA tournament have been record-setting, and the basketball's been great. So we all love what's been going on with the NCAA tournament, just without Cinderella. And so Pitino, when he was asked about the death of Cinderella, took it one interesting step further.
I'm not concerned about it. I think you will see it again. But I do feel what's even better than that is the fact that the Blue Bloods no longer control basketball any longer. There's no difference between Kentucky, North Carolina, than Illinois or St. John's. There's no difference anymore. There's no difference between Michigan State, who's a blue blood, to any of the other teams from the conferences, from Mississippi when they get it going. It's all going to be the same. You're going to see 40 to 50 teams, all the same. So there's no such a thing as a blue blood anymore. There's no difference between North Carolina State and somebody else. Everybody's the same. Everybody is the same in basketball, and that's what's going to make it a great product.
2 teams I thought it was interesting he invoked, NC State and Mississippi.
Yeah. Let me just say this. I think I get what he's trying to get at.
Yeah.
But my argument would be that blue bloods don't run it, but they're blue bloods because of history in a lot of ways. The teams that he mentioned that are now in the mix are all still like the really highly capitalized teams, right? They're big conference teams that maybe don't have the history, but they've got the funds right now, and they've been competitive in different stretches of their program's history. Like, that's the thing that stands out to me, is certainly, like, are there other teams that come into the mix? We saw what Indiana did in college football, right? He mentioned Illinois. I'm here for all of that, but it doesn't feel like there's any more balance toward the small guy necessarily. It just feels like different big guys get to be in it now.
Yeah, and I think what he's trying to say is that you can have an Indiana in college football come out of nowhere and win. If you get the right coach and you have the right buy-in, from your donors and your boosters and all of that. But in college football, you still have Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Notre Dame, Oklahoma. All those guys are still players in this thing. Arizona probably has the best team in the country. They're in this thing. Duke is still in this thing. Michigan State, UConn are still right there. Now, can an Iowa jump in there? Sure. In Illinois, I'll even argue, I don't know if they're blue blood, but Illinois, over the history of time, when they have the right coach, they're a very good team.
I agree with that.
They're that next rung below.
They're in the second tier probably to me.
Michigan, when they have the right coach,
Same
Michigan
thing.
has been a very good team.
Yes.
That is in the mix here. So, yeah, are the blue bloods, like North Carolina's not there, Kentucky's not there, Kansas isn't there right now this year, but they'll be back next year or the year after that. So he's a little off base here in what he's saying. I get the point he's trying to make.
I do too.
But
yeah, but it feels like the power is still at the top. It's just different top teams get to be in power at different points.
Also, who's to say that what's going on right now in college basketball won't just take a 180 next year? You know, with the one-time with the transfer portal, you do it whatever with NIL. Who's to say someone at some school, maybe like a Texas Tech, decides, okay, we're not exactly thrilled with almost making it to the big dance. Now let's start putting in money in the same way like Indiana did with football, like Texas Tech did in football.
Right.
And all of a sudden now they're in that second rung because of the resources that they've given to that one program. Just one more thing about that East region. It'll be the first time all four coaches in a Sweet 16 region each have an NCAA tournament win percentage of 70% or greater. That's since 1985, minimum of 5 games. So some elite basketball to be played in the East. And we said this when the bracket was revealed. Like, they did Duke no favors.
None at all.
Like, you looked at Ohio State's road to hoe, and it was like, well, TCU's going to be a full day. Turns out it was. For Duke, TCU was a full day. To the Midwest region, games starting tonight at 7:35. That'll be in Chicago, Alabama, and Michigan. You can watch it on TBS and True TV. Now, I don't know if it's going to include Aiden Holloway. After last week, I think he was arrested by the feds with a couple pounds of pot, some paraphernalia, and some cash.
better not include Aiden Holloway.
Well, an update this morning has him with a motion granted to travel out of state by a Tuscaloosa District Court judge. So Alabama and Michigan tonight, he's allowed to leave the state. Why would he want to leave the state, you might ask? Well, it's not like Nate Oates hasn't put questionably eligible people onto the court when he needs to win basketball games. I don't necessarily know if he'll play tonight, but if Alabama is able to beat Michigan and then play either Tennessee or Iowa State in that regional final on Sunday in Chicago, Holloway's playing in that.
And Reese, this is why I said when we've talked about the people that need to be in the rooms and discussing the future of college athletics, this is why I disagree with you on the coaches should be in there, because Nate Oates is going to do whatever he has to do to win. Somebody above him at that university or at the NCAA needs to step in and say, no, you can't.
I think peer pressure can be really strong to push back a little bit, where you have Nate Oates, and it's going to be tough in the SEC because you've got Nate Oates, you've got Will Wade, Chris Beard. I don't know, Todd Golden.
Well, he's got his own
I
thing to
don't
deal
think
with.
the peer pressure stands up here when you're trying to win a national championship. I think these guys will do what they have to.
I do think in football, because of who you've got at the top, I think it can work a little bit better.
Yeah, I know coaches and I know how they are. And in a situation like this, they 100% are going to be like, so you just want me to throw this guy away like he's trash and submarine his life because he allegedly did something that he hasn't even been found guilty of. And I don't necessarily agree with that approach, but that's how these guys are going to do it. And I think a lot of them feel like that is the best cop-out, is to just be like, well, is it better for a guy like that to be out in the world, or is it better for him to be insulated by a team? And by the way, he hasn't been to court yet. Like, we don't know what he did. Like, this could all go away. And I just think they're going to complain and defend all this type of behavior till the end of time.
And for Holloway, it could all go away.
Good.
It
might not.
You still don't know what with college athletics. I guess the final point I'll make on this is nobody else, in my opinion, Bake, can do anything like coaches can make any actual change like coaches can. And it is, from the cynical standpoint, understandable where you look at a Nate Oates or a Will Wade, as I just mentioned, or even a Lane Kiffin. Like, they're going to do what's best for them and themselves only. But nobody else can do and have the kind of influence that coaches can on college athletics.
Yeah, I mean, I think to Bake's point, a lot of this comes down to how much of a stake you have in the sport. Like, I think there need to be sports people that are in charge of decision making, and certainly people that feel like they have a lot at stake. But you can't have a championship at stake and be the one who's trying to dictate to the rest of the sport what they do.
2 minutes, Doug Maurice, Bishop and Friends on the Fan.
Sex, intimacy, love. These three things are critical to a good relationship, and that's the problem with erectile dysfunction. It often destroys sexual enjoyment and intimacy. It stresses the love between partners, often to the breaking point. This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health, and if you're suffering with ED, you likely know exactly what I'm talking about. But I also want you to know that ED doesn't have to impact your relationship anymore. At Tri-State Men's Health, we're ED experts, with our focus on men's sexual health. We've treated tens of thousands of men and have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases. I promise you, if you're like most guys, you can get your sex life back, perhaps even performing like you haven't in years. So if ED is affecting you, it's time to get back to better sex, better intimacy, and deeper love. Call us. Just $99 gets you blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com.
Great Lakes Hyundai. The savings are so good.
Take your shot to save at Great Lakes Hyundai. Shoot the hoop to get extra savings on your new car purchase. On top of big shot savings like 0% financing on 26 Hyundai Santa Fe's and Tucson's for up to 5 years. Plus, make no payments for 90 days. It's the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Dublin or Columbus or glakeshyundai.com. With first credit, some customers may not qualify. Interest accrues during no payment period. New Hyundais come equipped with owner assurance and America's Best warranty. A 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain coverage. Offer ends 3/31.
When you saw your heating bills this winter, did you think this is out of control? The problem is your house is leaking money, and the only thing higher than your heating bills are your cooling bills. Steve here from USA Insulation. Let us fix your energy bill problem for good. If you aren't foam insulated, you really aren't insulated. For $99 a month, interest-free, we'll foam your home and help cut those energy bills. 529-2440 or USAinsulation.net.
USA Insulation.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Weston Air Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
The uncle you never knew you had. The friends you kind of wish you didn't. This is Bishop and Friends.
You got the Friends, Eric Reeser, Ryan Baker. You've also got the pride of Olentangy, Joshua Perry, in with you on a Friday, going out now to the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. Doug Maurice, our guest, the Bill and Doug Show on YouTube. Find their Substack, Bill and Doug on Ohio State football, billanddougosu.substack.com. Doug, we'll get to things at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center from this past week, but in the last segment, we were talking about the news of Aiden Holloway, Alabama's guard, being allowed to leave the state, wondering why would they do that, thinking Nate Oates would absolutely put him on the court if he was able to. Trying to make meaningful change in college football feels extra impossible when dealing with a conference and a school like Alabama and a school like LSU that employs Will Wade, Lane Kiffin, and Kim Mulkey. Can anything really be done when you're dealing with those kind of characters?
Man, are you asking me to rip the SEC right off the jump?
Teeing it up for you, brother.
I love this show. It is, everybody's out for their own interest, and there's always been this thing that it feels like the Big Ten and the SEC like to do business in a different way. And it's still, I think, a root cause of a lot of the consternation and instability in college sports, right? Is that there is, I still think, it's not, the Big Ten's not perfect. The Big Ten has plenty of problems too. But the SEC has more. And I don't know how you ever fix that, because you're never really going to have a national body. We never have setting, like rules that everybody follows. So, yeah, I don't know, like more of the same old, right? I mean, this is how they do business. So I'm glad I'm in Big Ten country.
All right, so I'll ask you a little more Big Ten SEC banter here. James Smith had the comments about the difference between being at a place like Alabama and coming to Ohio State, and he mentioned the speed and the intention that he sees around here. What did you make of those comments?
Yeah, I felt like James Smith is my new best friend. Love that guy. I wrote from the combine after Sonny Styles tore it up, and we know what Arvell Reese is. I said, Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese buried the myth of SEC speed, right? That like what Sonny Styles did, that's what in your head, if you said, hey, there's this linebacker who ran like that, who jumped like that, who did all the drills like that, where do you think he went to school? For 20 years, you would have said, I don't know, Georgia, LSU, Bama, Texas, right? It's like, no, that kid's born and bred in Ohio. He's an Ohio State Buckeye. And like he's Sonny's rare, but he's not the exception to the rule anymore. And so for James Smith to come and say, yeah, like the speed in Big Ten country is right there, maybe even better than the SEC. Like, I think it is just an acknowledgement of the reality of the situation. And it's a little like pushing a boulder up the hill with some people to get them to acknowledge how this has come to pass, right? But Kurt Cignetti is a great coach. Indiana has good players. You know, like Michigan had good players. Ohio State has awesome players. Oregon has great players. Like, this is real now. And so to have somebody who was at Bama come to Ohio State and say it gives it even more heft because he's lived it. But I'm not surprised to hear it, but I bet a lot of other people are. But it's real.
Doug, you guys really got your first chance to talk to Arthur Smith this week. What were your first impressions of talking with him in person?
Yeah, so Landis took Arthur Smith. We split up when we have interviews, right? So Landis talked to Arthur Smith. But I do think just the idea, and this is like what Arthur Smith says and what like the players say, right? It's just like the professionalization of Ohio State football, I think, from a scheme standpoint, an intelligence standpoint, a standards standpoint, and that the idea of you're bringing that kind of football brain into a situation, and you're bringing that kind of football brain who's been in the NFL forever to work with Julian Sand. I know there were some people, you know, maybe initially who were like, Arthur Smith's going to play 9 tight ends. And it's like, listen, you do what your personnel does best. So he's not going to do that. But I think that level of NFL brain in the Woody is great for everybody. And then I thought the most interesting thing he said was, can you use Jeremiah Smith too much? And he's like, I don't know. I had Derrick Henry, and he led the NFL in carries for 2 consecutive years when Arthur Smith was the OC with the Titans. So it's like, oh, okay. So maybe Jeremiah Smith's going to have 160 targets this year because Arthur Smith, with his big NFL brain, is smart enough to know, get the ball to your best player a lot. So I thought it was a good meeting.
Bill and Doug show on YouTube. Bad show. Good dudes. Doug, I have it on good authority from a source inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center that on Wednesday for the Pro Day, you were everywhere, covering everything like Caleb Downs in the backfield. What was your favorite takeaway from Wednesday's festivities?
I just like watching Carnell Tate kind of move through the world. You know, like it is not about like the 40-time discussion. And, you know, he didn't run another 40 because he said the time he put down at the combine maybe wasn't the greatest. I think it was like 27th of the receivers at the combine, but NFL teams aren't worried about it. He's so fluid. He's so smooth. I feel like his hands are like pillows. And I like watching Carnell Tate just kind of do his thing. He makes it look effortless in a lot of ways. And so I never get tired of that. And then I liked, and this is always one of those, and it's a tradition at Ohio State. It's like, hey, we're there for the NFL guys, but also there's some younger guys hanging around, right? And so just the idea, I like Julian Sand and Tavian St. Clair throwing the ball in those drills to Carnell Tate and Will Kazmarek and C.J. Donaldson and everybody else who ran the drills. It reminded me, Julian's got a little snap, man. Like that guy, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he can rip it. And I thought Tavian, right, second year, you know, growing. I thought, yeah, like Tavian St. Clair threw the ball pretty well too. So that matters even more to Ohio State football fans. And I thought it was just like one of those, again, you've seen it through the years. C.J. Stroud had one of the best throwing sessions at a pro day I think you could ever have. But it reminds you, the quarterbacks and receivers at Ohio State are pretty good, and they should the NFL.
All right, Doug, I was saying earlier that I saw you out there, and I missed the opportunity to say something to you because you were doing what you do best. You're talking to everybody. You're working the room. So I'm sure you heard or saw some interesting things. What do you think was the biggest thing that people were buzzing about as you walked out of that building?
Yeah, I think part of it is the potential of Arvell. and what Arvell Reese is and can be, right? And there is, that when we went to the Combine, that was what I wrote about at the Combine. Is like so many people said the phrase scratching the surface with Arvell Reese. And I think that's true. And, I saw some people making comparisons. The number of pass rush snaps that Micah Parsons had in college at Penn State versus Arvell at Ohio State is very similar. It's low. They didn't really get asked to rush the passer all that much compared to guys like Reuben Bain and David Bailey and pure edge guys. And so you see what Micah Parsons has become, and you just watch Arvell go through the drills, and it's like, my God, that guy, there is something rare about that dude. He's a humble guy. I'd want him in my locker room, but there's just, again, a reminder of so much that he hasn't really had the chance to do as a one-year starter, as a guy, who was primarily a linebacker and an edge rusher at times. So, but you just watch that and you think about the potential of what that could be. And I think it was hard to come out of that building and talk to people and not have that in the front of mind.
I asked Tim May this question earlier. I want to ask you and get your thoughts on it as well. We found out yesterday Garrett Stover was an Iron Buckeye this offseason, and you can tell why. He had totally transformed his body. It looked like added a ton of muscle. Who is somebody else that looks different and you can tell put in a lot of work in the offseason?
Man, I'm trying to think, because Garrett Stover is really a good one, and we certainly are intrigued about, Riley Pettijohn is not doing everything in spring because he's coming back from a little procedure, and it's like, is there an opportunity at all sort of at that second linebacker spot next to Peyton Pierce? Or then we saw Peyton Pierce played 260 snaps last year as the third linebacker. I think James is willing and wanting to use a real third linebacker. So can Garrett Stover be a guy who's not just a special teams ace, who maybe is in that Peyton Pierce role where he's really on the field? I do think it's a continued evolution of Jalen McClain is interesting, that he kind of not overlooked, but you're playing next to Caleb Downs. Even Caleb Downs said that, right? That Jalen maybe took a little bit of a step back, make sure everything's okay. Other guys go make plays. And is Jalen McClain coming to the fore? Because he's another Iron Buckeye, as a guy who did his job last year, but I think the continued evolution of him physically and with an understanding of the defense, is he evolving into a real big-time playmaker at safety? And I think there's a real possibility of that.
Doug, I'll get you out of here with this. In the NCAA tournament, the Big Ten is 15-3. The SEC 13-8. You had 4 games last night, and the Big Ten will represent at least one team in the Final Four. Mm-hmm. How's that sit?
So I just want to prepare everybody. I think the SEC office, Greg Sankey, will very soon be talking about how good the SEC is at baseball because they've lost the football battle. They're losing the basketball battle. I don't know what else they got left. Maybe they got water polo down there that they can be proud of. But they're going to be grasping at straws, trying to figure out what they do better than the Big Ten. Now, the Big Ten hasn't won a national title since 2000. It's one of the craziest runs ever because they've lost the national title game. There's 7 different Big Ten teams that have lost in the national title game since then. Ohio State and Illinois and Wisconsin and I think Indiana. There's so many close calls. They got to go in it, right? Whether it's Purdue, whether it's Michigan, whether it's Illinois, whether it's Michigan State, the Big Ten has to win the national title in basketball this year. But no doubt about it, this season, the Big Ten's better at basketball than the SEC. And that's what they were hanging their hat on, because they've been blown out of the water in football.
Get the Bill and Doug Show on YouTube. Bill and Doug, OSU.substack.com. Doug Maurice, our guest. Doug, thanks so much for the time this morning. Look forward to catching up with you next Friday.
Thanks, gentlemen.
And he joins us courtesy of the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. We're really doing another Yellowstone spinoff. That's next. It's Bishop and Friends on the Fan.
File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction or your money back. File in the Credit Karma app.
This Ohio State football spring practice report is brought to you locally on The Fan by Roosters and by your Ohio Kubota dealers.
Ohio State football spring practice report.
With 51 newcomers to the 2026 roster, head coach Ryan Day said there is a camaraderie being built inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center this spring.
The guy that I use all the time is Travion. When Quinshon would score a touchdown, he was more happy for Quinshon than he was for his own self, and what happened, that all came back to him in the end. And if we have that same type of mentality into the season, then we'll have a chance. But so much of that happens in the weight room. And I told the guys right here, I said, you only got 14 left. You only got 15 in the spring. So these things go fast. We got to do a great job on the off days of making the corrections, but also spending time in the building and connecting with the guys on the team.
Day said although the new roster will be a big challenge, he likes the guys he has in the building.
I like their energy. I like their competitiveness, their seriousness. It's a mature group, but we haven't been together very long, so we got work to do.
This report was brought to you by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center and by Weber Grills. I'm Tyler Danberg on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
There's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
Buckeye fans, game day just got hotter. Whether you're parked in the shoe lot or grilling at home, it's not a tailgate without Weber Grill's Traveler Grill. Fires fast, folds flat, fits compact, and delivers championship flavor every time. Burgers, brats, steaks, even rival fans agree. Bring the taste of victory wherever you grill. The Weber Traveler Grill. Tailgate tough. Buckeye proud. Weber Grills. Taste the tradition. Proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota, like the best-selling Toyota Tacoma. Now through March 31st, get 4.99 APR financing on a new 26 Tacoma. Excludes TRD Pro and Trail Hunter. Or lease a well-equipped 26 Tacoma SR5 for $299 a month for 36 months with $39.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS. Tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details or go to toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Forget the pot of gold. Save some green at Coghlan Ford. During Ford Truck Month, take over $13,000 off MSRP, plus no payments until June on select new F-150s. New Bronco Sport or Ranger. Lease for $399 a month for 48 months. Visit CoghlanFord.com.
Coghlan has a car for you.
Factory rebates to dealer. 90-day deferred payments. Not all buyers will qualify. Bronco $399 down. Ranger $2,000 down. 7,500 miles per year. 25 cents per mile over. Excludes $250 dock fee. $395 disposition fee at lease end. No security deposit. Ends 3/31/26.
One of the things I had decided when I started the company was we were going to build the best window possible. We were going to give the best service possible. And I think we've accomplished that. Our reputation is built on taking care of people and building a great window and then taking care of it afterwards. It's just a darn good window.
Visit Rosati Windows and get 35% off all windows and doors by March 31st.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for almost 80 years. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
First Friday miracles are always better with Uncle Bo. This is Bishop and Friends.
Yes, it is. Wrapping things up on a Friday. Eric Reeser, Joshua Perry, Ryan Baker. I said before the break, Yellowstone's doing a bit too much. And I understand that the showrunner for Yellowstone was signed with, I think it was like Paramount or whoever owns the company now, was signed to do several shows for them. And the show Yellowstone, if you've listened to this program long enough, know how much we loved it. When it was weekly episodic, Joshua, we'd come back on Tuesday of the next week and we'd recap Yellowstone, the show itself. But then they started to do like 1773 and 1923 and 1886 as spin-offs from the Yellowstone universe, just different points in time for the Dutton Ranch. And neither of those three, despite one even having Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren, it didn't hit.
Okay.
And now as Tyler Sheridan, I think, has taken his ball to NBC, it was the Paramount execs were like, well, you still owe us a couple of shows. And I think now he's just like, here, have this show.
Oh, God.
Have this Yellowstone show. Have this Yellowstone property out there for people, because there's Marshals, which is the show about Casey Dutton being a U.S. Marshal. And I tried it, and it does feel like every formulaic FBI, NCIS, CIA show that the 4 networks have.
Yeah.
There's a problem, guns, romance, solve it, next episode. It scratches the itch if you just loved Yellowstone.
Right.
Doesn't do it for me. And then I saw last night the Dutton Ranch is going to be a Paramount Plus exclusive with Beth and Rip living, I think, in Texas, because they committed too much murder in Montana and they got to go murder people in Texas.
Doesn't it feel like you could have spun these into one and just run them kind of, the same show? Just, I don't know.
Again, for Taylor Sheridan, I get that he's just trying to, here you go.
You got to pump that content.
Because I got to go do something else. He did an episode in the last season of Yellowstone where he was just the coolest person in the world. I think he made maybe like Bella Hadid, his girlfriend, in the episode. And it was like, great, man. You did not advance the narrative of the season. You just made yourself look cool. So I don't know what the hell he's going to go do at NBC, but we don't need any more Yellowstone.
I bet these shows will be great for the first couple seasons, but then when it's time to land the plane, chaos ensues.
That Yellowstone had a lot of that. Very Game of Thronesian, and you could have ended this sooner. You could have ended this better. But, I mean, they stuck...
You get too deep.
They stuck a Y logo on every single thing they could to hawk merchandise. It goes back to the Spaceballs thing, merchandising. And it's enough. I think we're good.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3 things.
Sponsored by Newman Roofing. For all your roofing, gutter, or siding needs, call Newman Roofing today at 614-NEW-ROOF or visit online at newmanroofing.com.
But enough of me bitching about Yellowstone. First thing on a Friday, so I looked and I tried to find Tim May's Wikipedia page, thinking, well, he's been covering Ohio State football for longer than I've been alive. Certainly, there's got to be one. There are 2 Tim Mays on Wikipedia. There's Timothy May, the Australian cricketer, and Timothy C. May, an Intel scientist.
Okay.
But he does not have his own Wikipedia page.
He should. He should make it.
It would, to fully encapsulate everything he's done, would take a minute.
We got to have like a separate catchphrases.
That would be in itself its own Wikipedia hole, because it's something that I think for the Tim Mays of the world, like you would do when you're retired. I guess you would curate when you're retired, but he's never going to retire. So.
No. Yeah, I get on him about that every time I see him, actually. All right, my first thing, Doug Maurice, who does a great job, was on the show, and we were asking him about the Big Ten, SEC, and all the narratives. So to add a little bit more to that, if you look at any of the mock drafts, there are a bunch of Big Ten players in there, and you don't see a lot of SEC players. The one that Daniel Jeremiah does for NFL Network, 8 players before you see a player from the SEC. The ESPN big board has 13 players ahead of the first SEC player. So not all of them are from the Big Ten, but many of them are. I think 8 in the ESPN big board. So a lot of talent up this way compared to the talent poor programs down south.
Turntables have turned, baby.
First thing for me, we've talked We've talked a little bit this week, probably not as much as we wanted to because there was so much going on about the draft comparison with Fernando Mendoza and Ty Simpson and how the whole media spin on this has kind of taken a weird little turn. But here's a list of quarterbacks with just 1 year starting experience that have been drafted inside the top 100 since 1999. And this is from Lance Zierlein, who's an NFL draft guy for NFL.com. Mark Sanchez, Mitch Trubisky, Ryan Tannehill, Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, Davis Mills, Anthony Richardson, Akili Smith. Some people will want to throw Aaron Rodgers and Cam Newton on that list, but they started at JUCO before their 1 year of starting for college football. So that's more college experience, kind of like we saw with Trinidad Chambliss this year as well. So if you think Ty Simpson is your guy, just a little buyer beware on that list right there of those quarterbacks.
I always forget when to turn on my mic, but I always forget Aaron Rodgers did a JUCO year.
Yeah.
And it does feel, wasn't there a time where he reminded everybody about it, though?
Sure.
Like, it just feels...
He reminds everybody about everything.
He loves Find you somebody who loves himself as much as Aaron Rodgers loves Aaron Rodgers. We love Ohio State football. Buckeyes are back to spring practice tomorrow. You get to hear from Jeremiah Smith just how the spring's going. Cortez Hankton will also be available to speak with reporters after Saturday's session. But then coming up on Tuesday, Ryan Day will have his press conference following the Buckeye spring practice next week. We'll, of course, have Ryan Day's comments right here on The Fan next Tuesday around 11 o'clock-ish.
All right, so we sit in here as my second thing, and we've got TVs on the studio. Of course, we keep one on CBS because the people on the other side of this building.
We love CBS, Channel 10.
Absolutely. Want to support our people in this building. So after they're done with their stuff, you get the morning shows, and Price is Right is on. And it reminds me of when I was a kid, and I would feign being ill so I could sit at home and watch Maury and The Price is Right. 2 people rolled $1.
I've never seen that twice.
Wheel. And the second guy rolled one of the green numbers in there, which is an extra $10K. You get $1,000 for rolling $1, and you get the extra $10K for rolling on the second roll one of the green numbers. So I'm as excited as like 8-year-old Joshua used to be.
Did you guys realize that Adam Sandler is a producer of The Price is Right now?
Did not?
No.
Because it's usually on the big TV out here, and I saw that yesterday. We were like, I walked out of the studio as Price is Right.
Are we sure it's that Adam Sandler?
It says Adam Sandler.
Some guys get to make all the money, you know?
Crazy.
Yeah, good for him.
It's been a blast having Joshua Perry in this week with us, and unfortunately, a lot of times when we have our football highlights in our system, it's usually of just guys scoring touchdowns or of a big turnover or something like that. But I wanted to go ahead and let Joshua Perry hear a little bit of Paul Keels calling one of his highlights.
With 3 receivers wide to the left for Perry. Hills, who squats under a center to get the ball. Hills with a snap, fakes the handoff, and he's grabbed and sacked at the 35-yard line. And he had no chance of getting away from Joshua Perry that time, linebacker.
So I don't know how that feels, but I got to feel that'd be pretty cool if Paul Keels was calling my name.
It's great. There's a little highlight vignette that's on YouTube, and my son loves the Ohio State Buckeyes, and so I'll play it for him every once in a while. He's not there yet to be like, oh, that's dad, but I'll have a lot of pride when he is.
That'll be the final thing from us, because anytime you can end a week with the great Paul Keels and with the great Joshua Perry, I think you have to take the advantage of that. But it was so much fun.
Had a blast.
Looking forward to having you back anytime you would like. I know you're on next Thursday and Friday. Common Man and Timmy. Rothman and Ice are up next. Bo's back Monday. Bishop and Friends, 9 to noon on The Fan.
1, 2, 3. Here at The Fan is always football o'clock. Proud to be your home of the Buckeyes, Browns, and all the NFL games you can handle. The Fan.